Gaming news today is all about strange futures. First, Xbox lost a lawsuit against a specific user, and it has huge relevance to the recent battle for digital ownership. Second, Sony executives are selling their stock. Is this because they're scared of the Twitter backlash, or is something else going on? Third, Bungie is allegedly working on a Borderlands remake, and no, you did not mishear me. What on earth is going on here? It's probably just some well-crafted bait. Now, if you're watching this later and you want to be here for the live shows, make sure you hit like and subscribe. That way you can be here for the shows and take part. We also do a segment in the Discord just for members. So if you want to support the content directly, click join. It's $5 for the entire month, and you get into those segments every single day. So thank you guys so much for being here in the live studio audience, as it were, as well. Make sure you guys are doing your ritual of hitting that like button. Let's go through the first story. Pop quiz: when you click buy on a digital game on Xbox, PlayStation, or Steam, what do you actually own? Well, if your answer is the game, congratulations. You're completely wrong. Well, you're sort of wrong. Sometimes you do own the entire game, but a lot of the times it is a temporary permission slip. And if their security systems glitch out temporarily and vaporize your 10-year-old library, well, their official customer service response could say, well, it sucks to be you. You're going to have to buy it all again. At least that's what Microsoft did. The regular gamer in Brazil looked at Microsoft's massive legal department and said, well, not today. They dragged Xbox into small claims court, forced them to deploy 12 lawyers, and then they actually defeated Microsoft's defense. So let me break down what happened. This is how it started. User Ordo Liberal has a massive Microsoft account. Not just Xbox games, but their entire digital life. Windows licenses, OneDrive data, Office apps, and a huge gaming catalog. He also had strong passwords, two-factor authentication, and the account was pretty much completely locked down. But a few days ago, his account was compromised. Hackers got the account flagged. Now, you would think that customer support would look at the logs, see what happened, then restore his access. Well, you'd be wrong. Microsoft support basically told him, yeah, we see that the account was hacked, and because it was hacked, we are permanently locking it forever for security reasons. Also, none of your account recovery tools will work for you. And when he asked about the thousands of dollars of digital games tied to the account, Microsoft's literal documented email response was to tell him to make a brand new account and to repurchase every single one of his games. And in light of the PlayStation announcements to go into an all-digital future, this is a pretty scary reality. Now, in most places like the US or the UK, you'd be trapped. Our legal system makes it really difficult to sue mega corporations because it's impossibly expensive. But this individual lives in Brazil. Brazil has a special small claim system where citizens can sue a company for free without even needing private attorneys. So our hero filled out a simple PDF, attaches some emails, and then they hit send. Suddenly, Microsoft realized that a regular gamer was about to establish a legal precedent that completely undermines the you don't actually own your digital games policy that we're all trying to fight against. So, how did Microsoft respond? Did they settle? Did they just give him his profile back? No, they actually panicked. They literally showed up to a local free small claims court dispute with 12 corporate lawyers and a massive 300-page defense document trying to prove why they should not have to give a single gamer his account back. This is just one individual gamer, not like a bunch of gamers that this happened to. They sent 12 lawyers for a dispute that originally cost less than a few $100. The corporate ego on display here is pretty legendary, but it backfired. The Brazilian judge took a look at the Microsoft 300-page of legal jargon and ruled completely in favor of the gamer. The court ordered Microsoft to fully restore the account and every single one of his digital purchases within 15 days. And because Microsoft's tech support gave him the turnaround and the runaround for weeks, the judge tacked on an extra $400 in cash for, quote, moral and emotional damages. And if Microsoft misses the 15-day window, they face compounding daily fines that I'd love to see them pay. And the state could even step in and directly freeze money right out of Microsoft's Brazilian bank accounts. Now, look, this is just the first instance. I mean, this is just a small court claims ruling. It doesn't instantly change the law globally. In the U.S., courts still largely view digital purchases as revocable licenses, which is an enormous problem for those of us who switch to digital, or those of you who feel like you have to switch to digital in the coming years. That's what makes this case immensely important because of the timing. Right now, the industry is trying to force us into a diskless world. Xbox is actively testing software to turn physical discs into digital licenses. Sony has been heavily criticized over their announcement that they'll be phasing out physical PlayStation discs by January of 2028. They want us in an all-digital ecosystem because, look, it gives them control over the sale price, over the games, over pretty much everything. But cases like this prove that when local consumer protection laws are actually strong, tech giants can be forced to treat digital buyers like actual owners. So huge shout out to Ordo Liberal for standing his ground. So let me know in the comments below, if you woke up tomorrow and your entire digital library was gone, how much money would you lose? Also, remember to hit like, subscribe, and stop by a live stream. But that's not the only strange occurrence and something that might have some legal ramifications, and this one's about PlayStation. Speaking of a terrifying all-digital future where you own absolutely nothing, let's check in on our friends over at PlayStation, because if you thought Xbox was having a chaotic week, Sony just decided to hold Microsoft's beer and drop an absolute nuclear bomb on the entire concept of physical media. But it gets crazier than that. The absolute best part of this story isn't just the announcement, it's the hilarious corporate timing that happened behind the scenes. On July 1st, Sony posted a massive, sort of, in many people's minds, a depressing blog update telling the world that discs would be done in the future, just 2 years from now. 2 days later, literally 48 hours later, on July the 3rd, official SEC filings revealed Sony Group president and CEO Hiroki Totoki executed a massive open market trade. He sold 225,000 shares of his own common stock. At $21 a share, Totoki walked away with a cool $4.7 million in cash, completely offloading over 56% of his own personal stake at the company. And he wasn't even the only one. Sony's chief strategy officer, Toshimoto Mitomo, also dumped a massive portion of his stock on the exact same day. You can't make this up. The executive leadership at Sony stood on stage, looked at the entire gaming community, and said, hey, the future of PlayStation is bright, sustainable, and 100% digital. And then they sold big portions of their stock. Now, according to some reports, these types of sales are scheduled months in advance. But the timing is hilarious and somewhat worrying. Are these executives getting ready to retire? Or are they worried about dark waters ahead? One of my theories is that they want to get out. The hardware challenges are going to be particularly challenging for PlayStation, and they don't feel like riding the wave of what's coming. So, why are they doing this? Why face massive protests from fans, angry letters from developers like Larian Studios, and this sort of PR nightmare that they're having in the social spaces every time they post a tweet or a post on Instagram? Well, the reason they're doing it is because of the math. Industry Analysis dropped the brutal reality check recently. I did a video about this. The profit margins on physical plastic discs, shipping boxes to Walmart and giving retailers a cut, compared to what they make off digital, well, it's microscopic in comparison. Sony doesn't care if a few thousand hardcore collectors cancel their PS Plus subscription in protest. By 2028, when the control of them is 100% of the digital pipeline on their PlayStation 6 and beyond, they'll make 100% of the profit on all those first-party sales. There'll be no used game market, no lending to friends, no retail middleman. They will also make significantly more on the margins of even third-party digital sales as well, and that means more money goes to third-party developers and publishers. Everybody wins, except for the consumer. Some angry fans seeing this as a massive gamble. They think that this is not a good idea, but it shows exactly where Sony's head is right now. They want better margins. They're willing to end physical games to get them. So where do you stand on this? Why are they selling the stock? Is this just typical executive moves or something worse on the horizon? Let me know in the comments, and be sure to stop by one of the live streams. But that's not the last weird story of the day. I don't even know if we'll call this one a story, but I had to cover it because of the names involved. It's very pertinent to a lot of the things we've talked about. Pardon me. All right, let's get into this one. All right, look, every single week I sit in this chair, read through gaming leaks, and think to myself, okay, there's no way the internet can come up with a weirder headline than last week. And every single week, the universe proves me wrong. And today we've got a doozy. This is a rumor right now, it'll probably stay a rumor, but that Bungie is allegedly working on a live service remake of Borderlands 1. Yes, that's right. Bungie, the Destiny developers, remaking Borderlands, the franchise that essentially invented the modern looter shooter. But does this have any merit? Well, the entire saga started on 4chan, which I would typically dismiss, but it got more traction because a Destiny content creator named Trance posted a breakdown claiming that Sony, Bungie, 2K, and Gearbox are currently in early discussions. Now, according to this leak, the project is being pitched as a total ground-up reimagining of the original Borderlands 1. They want to turn it into a Destiny-style live service loop. But for some hardcore Borderlands fans, it gets worse. The leak claims that instead of playing as the four legendary iconic Vault Hunters, Roland, Lilith, Mordecai, and Brick, this remake would completely throw them out the window. Instead, you would get a semi-customizable silent protagonist, like in Destiny. They are apparently trying to copy-paste the Destiny Guardian system into the original Borderlands roadmap or structure. And the leak doesn't even stop there. It goes on to claim that if this goes through, Gearbox will follow it up by remaking Borderlands 2 as a limited-time console exclusive for the PlayStation 6. Okay, this is where it falls apart, okay? We don't even have a PlayStation 6 announcement yet, and corporate executives are allegedly already working on deals. I would actually guess that they don't want PlayStation 6 exclusives, because I don't think the PlayStation 6 is going to saturate the market enough to justify PlayStation 6 exclusives. The PlayStation 6 is going to be too expensive from what we're hearing, and the PlayStation 5 and the Pro are likely going to get a lot more legwork this time around because they're hitting such good levels of performance the average consumer isn't going to feel the need to upgrade. That's why I think this leak is sort of falling apart when you actually look at it. Think about it. It's perfectly engineered to make everybody angry. It angers the Destiny fans because their favorite studio is allegedly abandoning their own world to act as a support studio for the competitor or for a completely different franchise. It'll make Borderlands fans mad because you're going to take this beloved sort of self-contained cooperative classic and then you're going to infect it with live service? I mean, it doesn't even make any sense. Let's look at the actual logistics of Bungie right now. The studio went through brutal layoffs. The remaining workforce is working hard to make sure that Marathon doesn't crash and burn, which it looks like it's doing that pretty much every week. Excuse me, the numbers are pretty dire. Why would anybody think that a future live service Borderlands is the call when Destiny 2 had such a rallying amount of support from a free update? But the reason this rumor is spreading is because of the environment that we're in. The craziest developments seem to happen like every week. Massive layoffs, studios gutted, sold, almost closed. Execs are dumping stock. Players are suing large corporations and winning. It all seems stranger than fiction, so even wild rumors, well, they start to feel believable. But I want to hear from you. Is this even possible? Why would you make a Borderlands 1 remake into a live service? Why wouldn't you just call it, like, I don't know, Borderlands Universe and make it all new? They did a lot of things in Borderlands 4 that I felt would do well in live service. The gun system was quite good. Some of the open world ideas they had were quite good. They could have really done their next game like that. I don't see why you'd have to go back and do anything with the original. Drop your thoughts in the comments below, smash the like button, and make sure to stop by a live stream. And to those that are here right now, good morning, good afternoon, and good evening. Let's get the goal going. Brooklyn Breed with 31 months is going to crack the seal. 31 months. Also, I think we're headed into a pause in the gaming industry. I'm not sure what you mean by a pause, but I mean, I imagine that, games are going to continue to come out. I mean, there's a lot of games already slated for this year that haven't even landed yet. So I would expect that we're probably not headed for anything to necessarily slow down. I think gamers are understandably a little upset, but the irony is, this is like the fullest gaming year we're probably going to experience in a really, really long time, and it also has some of the weirdest gaming news stories, like, ever. Horrible decision making over at Sony this gen. Well, I mean, the live service push is certainly continued to befuddle me. I mean, I'm still not sure why we haven't heard about the cancellation of Fair Games, and I think Horizon Hunter's Gathering is a complete and utter waste of time. My hope is that they're shifting away from that. If this is true, this Borderlands thing seems insane to me. Again, it feels manufactured to make everybody mad. It does. It doesn't feel genuine. It's like it doesn't even make any sense. Now, because it's so random and so weird, it makes me start to think, like, I don't know, what if this is possible? What if Sony said, hey, we've got a team over here that understands looter shooters. They don't really have anything to work on. But it's like, why would you enter that agreement? Why wouldn't you just have Bungie work on something of their own, work on some future live service game? It doesn't make an ounce of sense. So I think it only got traction because people saw like a content creator talking about it who's talked about things before and gotten those things right. And because he got those things right, people are like, oh, where's this guy getting this? And then they come to find out that it comes from 4chan. So thank you for 36 months. Dynamite Black, let's add it to the total. The source that got everyone riled up has already been deleted. Yeah, the only reason I think it got traction is because there was like a content creator that gave it legitimacy. If somebody would have just tweeted or wrote an article or something that said, 4chan's on another one, 4chan's claiming that Bungie's going to remake Borderlands 1. The thing that absolutely demolished it for me was the PlayStation 6 part. I was like, nobody is right now negotiating for PlayStation 6 exclusives. I don't think they're even going to want PlayStation 6 exclusives. There's not going to be enough of them. I think it makes a lot of sense that not. Borderlands, it makes more sense than not. Borderlands is a beloved series. It's becoming stale. Bungie could inject some new life. I personally think that Gearbox, I mean, this is a perfectly fine conversation, even though it's completely made up. I think Gearbox could do a good job with a live service Borderlands. They laid good groundwork in Borderlands 4, in my opinion. I actually think so. Joker Quinn with a single gifted. The thing that red flagged it was a BL1 remake. That was the other thing that didn't make any sense. I could see Gearbox wanting to remake Borderlands 1. I could totally see that. Like, make the guns feel better. Maybe even utilize that gun system. Maybe make it feel a little bit better with respect to movement. So I could see Gearbox wanting to remake Borderlands 1, but I don't see why you would remake it if you're going to turn it into live service. You would just make a brand new Borderlands game. You don't need to go back to the first one. The first one's good, but there's not something there that's like special enough to be like, oh, that's like the perfect recipe for, the live service foundation. It's like, it's not really. What they did in Borderlands 4 is better groundwork for live service. $2 from Jay. Would Sony be a monopoly if they freeze out retail? Wilbur, thank you for renewing your membership. I appreciate that. I don't know if you'd be able to call them a monopoly because it's their own storefront. Like, I don't know what you'd call it. I don't think you could call it a monopoly, though, because it's their storefront. There are plenty of businesses where you can't go anywhere else to get their product. The difference is it's not only Sony product. It's like they sell third-party stuff. And a 10 bomb comes in from Wired Rope to get us to 14 to start the week. Thank you, sir. We missed the goal last week, so let's try and hit it this week. You can't be a monopoly selling your own stuff, right? But it's not their own stuff. That's where it gets complicated. It's like, well, you're not just going to Sony to buy first party. You're also buying third party. And if they dictate that, like, no, you can't buy these games anywhere else, I believe they've already addressed this. They're not going to freeze out the retail. It says in the announcement that you'll be able to buy digital from retail. So I think they intentionally included that in the blog because they knew this was going to be a concern. Yeah, Sketch is saying it. No one read the announcement. I've had to repeat this many times. Spice King gets us a 10 bomb away from the first milestone of the week. Almost 2 years. Great community you've got here. Keep up the great work. Thank you for 23 months, Spice King. So I think they literally included it in the blog because they knew people were going to be scared about this. Oh, they're going to control everything. And it's like, well, no. They're actually being sued, I believe, in the UK for this very thing. They're being sued because you can't go buy codes from the store. They apparently are addressing that with this announcement. Now, I don't know if that's because of the lawsuit or because they know there'd be more. Like, it could be, well, I guess it could be both. It could be both because of the lawsuit and because they think, oh, there'll be more lawsuits. Or they're just like, we just want to avoid this criticism of like, oh, you're going to try and control everything. Here's the hang up, and I talked about that in my video that I pushed out on Saturday. Guys, thanks, by the way, for supporting those two videos. I'm trying something a little new. If you guys didn't see these two videos, I'm trying something with sections where I kind of break it apart. And if you didn't see these, the Xbox leaked report, Game Pass stream is over, and then the margin war has begun, PlayStation's Digital Fortress. Those are two videos. I just kind of did it on my own just to kind of see how it would feel, just to kind of like have different sections. You guys seem to like it. I'm getting a lot of positive comments. I'm going to continue to make videos like that, so continue to support them with likes, comments. If you watch on, mobile, you can hype them. That really helps me out. We want to be regularly making content out there, so make sure and do that. Rare Killer with 58 months. Thank you so much. And in the margin war video, I basically said, we don't even know what the selling of codes in the store is going to look like. PlayStation could still be controlling PlayStation could still be controlling the price. So it's like, okay, when they go to give you a code, what's good, Collide, and everybody over there on Twitch, if they give you a code, let's say I go into GameStop, and I know people are like, why would anybody do this? There would not be a significant number, but the point is you'd have that as an option. If you wanted to go to GameStop and buy a digital version of a game, maybe you're out with your buds and you're like, oh, I want to do this right now. Somebody gave me some GameStop gift cards or something, and you're just going to buy the game digitally from GameStop for whatever reason. Okay, my question is, do they have a batch of them and they're selling you from the batch, or are they going to go and interact with some Sony interface that just generates the code and then they give it to you, and then Sony can still dictate the price? That would not really alleviate everybody's concern that, like, they're going to control price. Frank with 20 months, thank you so much for renewing. That's a lot of months. So, personally, if they buy a batch, then the retail store would still have the ability to, like, motivate you to come to the store. They could be like, oh, hey, we're doing a special right now. All games are $10 off, just because they want you to come into the store and maybe you buy, like Pokemon cards or something. They've got like other things in the store that you can buy. So that would still give them the ability to do that. They could do a loss lead on the games, and then you as the consumer could be like, oh, hey, wait for those sales. GameStop does those sales every now and again. And yeah, you're still getting the game digitally, but you can get it on sale, right? I really don't know. There's a part of me that thinks any sort of brick and mortar, game sales is just going to become less and less common going forward, unless you're Nintendo, because Nintendo still has a pretty, prominent physical presence in Japan. And I also think Nintendo can do the sort of like tactile demo thing. If you've ever been to like a Target or a GameStop, they've got Switches sitting right there. And I know that probably helps sell them, because people are like, this seems really nice, that the kids are playing it, and it's Mario, right? It's Mario Kart. But I just don't know. I think a brick and mortar for gaming is probably going to look very, very different in 5 years. Lono, can it be possible that Sony is printing boxes still, but putting codes in the boxes as well as other stuff for the collectors? If they do that, True SSJ, some of the collectors will be satiated, but not happy. They'll be like, well, I can still add to my collection on the wall. I don't really need the disc, especially if they've been buying games digitally. They already have digital games. Like, anybody who says they've never purchased digital, I have a hard time believing that. There's a lot of indie games and AA games you have to buy digitally. Now, maybe they just avoid those games. There are probably very, very few purists out there who own no digital games. Like, I highly doubt there's very many people in that department. But if they're going to be sending jewel cases and printing paper still, the insert that goes in with the box art, If they're still going to be doing that, that's still going to affect their margins on anything sold in retail, because now they're splitting with the retailer, and they're footing a shipping bill, and they're footing a physical plastic. You got to get raw materials to make those jewel cases, so you're finding somebody that's still making them at a scale where your per item cost is not too high. I just don't know. If they're trying to go digital, why would you confuse people with, like, is there a disc in here? Like, do you see what I'm saying? I think they just make the clean break. No, there's nothing physical anymore. They'll use the cards for games just like they do PSN cards. The idea here is to cut costs. Right, if you're trying to cut costs, you don't want to be paying for jewel cases, paper, printing, shipping, and beyond that, you're causing consumer confusion. They're going to be like, wait a minute, I thought PlayStation wasn't doing physical anymore. And then the clerk has to explain it 1,000 times every week. Yeah, there's not a game in there, it's a code. There's not a game in there, it's a code. I just say remove all confusion and don't do anything physical at all. I don't like that GTA 6 is going to have literal jewel cases in the store with nothing in them. I think that's kind of dumb, but they want to have that retail presence without the cost of making the discs. They want that retail presence. I mean, there's going to be a ton of people that wander into a Target or a Best Buy or a GameStop, and that's what they're going to be doing. They're going to be buying it that way. You're also going to have people, trying to buy it on the low. They're not going to want their parents knowing that they're buying GTA 6. Lono, any thought about the positron thing? So if Microsoft is doing that, I would hope that PlayStation would offer something similar, like the ability for people to convert their discs into digital, because that is a concern for backwards compatibility. So think about it right now. If you go buy a PlayStation 5 Pro and you do not have a disc drive, and let's say you lent your PlayStation 5 to your buddy. You're like, oh, you can borrow my PlayStation 5. I'm going to get a Pro. You can't play any of your back compat games until you get your PlayStation 5 back from him, or if you buy the disc drive for it, okay? Because it's a digital-only console. So if the PlayStation 6 is a digital-only console, you cannot play your back compat physical games unless there's some sort of a solution. Either that the disc drives they're making now are compatible, so as long as you have one that's working, and then maybe you buy an extra one and just like keep it in a box for safekeeping, and the PlayStation 6 can interface with that, then you can play your backwards compatible. Or if they create like an external drive, and they would literally call it backwards compatible drive or something, just to send a clear message. This PlayStation is not intended to have discs. This is for your back compat. I think what Xbox is doing is, on the surface, it seems like such a great thing, but what they're ultimately trying to do is they're just trying to get you away from physical. They just want you to be digital. I think both companies are doing the same thing. They want you to be off physical. They want you to be digital only. Yanadid says, I didn't say we should ban anything. Oh, yeah, I was like, are you talking to me? I was like, I didn't know who you were talking to. Egyptian, they closed one GameStop but kept one in the mall. It depends where you live, really. People like to walk at the mall and look around. Well, and when you're at the Targets and the Best Buys and the Walmarts, these retail locations with your family, that's a common thing that you're going to see. You're going to see a family, head over to the video game aisle, and they might buy something, especially when you see things like controllers and, collector's editions. There's also paraphernalia. I think there was a stuffed Astrobot. I think there's like a stuffed anal Astrobot at Target the last time we were there. And my daughter wanted it. And I was like, no. You have 1,000 stuffies. You don't need another. They could just do a specialized format of the drive with a layer similar to something like BitLocker that the console decrypts. I mean, I'm not sure what you're speaking to. Are you talking to like a way to convert their physical to digital license? Most likely, positron is only for Xbox original games, not third-party games. That's not what the rumor suggests. The rumor suggests that it would be all of your Xbox One and Series X and S games. It would not be, currently from what we're hearing, it would not be the original Xbox or 360 games, which is a bit of a blow. My library from that era is when I started kind of doing digital anyway. It was just easier, especially if you did the Xbox Arcade. They closed like 4 near me. Haven't been to them all in years. Yeah, brick and mortar's not doing great. I mean, it obviously could make a comeback. You can never have enough plushies. Yet, yes, you can. When they can barely get into their bed, yep. And then when there's a pile of them at the foot of the bed, yes, you can get to too many. Like, it not properly raised children are innate hoarders. Okay, so you got to be careful. Your kid's gonna end up on one of those shows, talking from a pile of stuffies, being like, my parents never said no, so now I live in a fortress of stuffed animals. Tyler was an ordinary child until one day he realized he had more stuffies than friends. I went to GameStop yesterday, and it was mostly Nintendo games. Yeah, Nintendo still has a pretty strong physical presence. I think that'll continue at least for a while. I'm Talika, have you met me? I mean, Talika, I'm totally ready for the documentary. You know what I'm saying? I'm just expecting it at this point. I'm going to be sitting down, putting on a lapel mic, being like, what do you want to know? Yeah. Mm-hmm. No, yeah, she was totally comfortable with jokes about only having one leg. Yeah. Yes, and she had too many stuffed animals. Everybody knows this. I'm ready for the documentary, Nobody knows where her husband is. No, yeah. He's probably dead under a pile of them. Poor guy. Probably suffocated. Seemed like a nice guy. Wouldn't the retailer retaliate by threatening not to carry the consoles if the big companies take away the physical game that I'm the retailer makes better margins on? So, I mean, I get where you're coming from, King So What, but the retailers are not in the position of power at all, unfortunately. They have no power in that conversation. They need everything in the store. They can't be like, well, we won't carry your console. I mean, PlayStation would be like, okay. I'm not even in Discord right now, and I knew that was Talika. That's right, Alex. I get where you're coming from, but they don't have any power. What are they going to be like? Yeah, we're not going to sell your console, and then they lose on that because then everybody's going to be like, oh, well, I guess we won't go to Best Buy anymore for any gaming stuff. If we need controllers, if we need batteries, if we need whatever, yeah, we just won't go. That'd be a pretty big blow to the retailer. You know what I'm saying? So the UK's Entertainment Retailer Association has slammed the death of PlayStation Disc as an attack on consumers. It's an attack on consumers. PlayStation announcement that major games will no longer be available on disc is a triumph of corporate convenience over consumer choice. I will say this. The commentary around this is getting dumber by the day. It's getting dumber by the day. It's not evil, and it's not an attack. Are you going to apply the same logic to all of the AA and indie studios that are like, it's too expensive to do physical, we're just going to do digital only? Well, that's evil, and that's an attack on consumers. No, it's a logical and economical decision. It's a logical and an economical decision. You don't have to like it. I saw a really great tweet today that really summarizes how many people have misunderstood or misrepresented what I've attempted to do. This guy said, I'm begging people to understand that analysis isn't the same as justification. You can discuss why something might be happening while 100% disagreeing with it yourself. In fact, that's my position in this case, and a lot of cases, generally speaking. And Shinobi very wisely says, you're asking too much. Yeah, you're asking people who grift and are willfully ignorant and misrepresent other people to not do that. That's their brand, right? I said for the last 2 weeks, I'm not defending this. I'm not justifying it. I'm simply telling you why it's happening. I don't like it. I don't like people losing that aspect of the hobby. I don't like consumers losing choice. I don't like people not having an answer on what in the world are they supposed to do with their physical collection going forward. What sort of an assurance do they have that they'll be able to even interact with that? Like, I don't like that for people. I don't think that that's good for those people. But explaining to you why this is happening and being like, listen, this is just a basic number crunch. You know, like, these companies are facing rising costs at every turn, and they're figuring out ways to cut costs. Like, they're all doing it. Like, it doesn't seem to, I think, make sense to people who want this to be a war. And they want it to be this fight of, like, it's us versus them. And it's like, it's never been us versus them. It'll never be us versus them. It's like you just need something to make your life feel important, I guess, that you're fighting against some corporation. Okay. I actually think we can fight against the corporations and take some of their power back, but it's not by Twitter brigades and yelling in videos. It's by saying, hey, we don't have protections as consumers, and we should. We should. I had a situation last night. I was having to kind of do like an on-the-fly counseling session. I was not able to speak to the gentleman I'm trying to speak to. I'll get to him. We've got some upcoming events that I'll be able to talk to him and be like, hey, can you put me in touch with anybody? I'd like to get on the phone with somebody to say, hey, let's open up a real dialogue. I don't want to just pester you with an email about this. I want to actually sit down and talk to somebody in governance to say, what can we do? How can we get our voice heard on this? What's the best approach? If the numbers were too big to ignore, Sony would have pulled back, just like PC ports. Hilly says, I have a solution for stuffy hoarding. The odd one, when they are smelly or looking rough, they disappear. Yes, yeah. You have to just silently kill them. It is true. Speak with your wallets. I think the difficulty with speaking with your wallet is your wallet has no power. And I don't mean that in like, oh, you have no power as a consumer. What I mean is, in this situation, you have the weakest buying power. I want you to think about what you're saying in the discussion. You are saying that if they continued to make physical, you would continue to buy physical, where they make a fraction of the profit that they do on a digital sale. So you already in the equation have way, way less buying power, because you're saying, I was going to continue to buy these physical discs. And because I was going to continue to buy these physical discs, I'm going to stop buying games if you make them digital only. They've already factored you into the equation. They've already factored you in. And they've said these purchases aren't good enough with respect to margins. So you're saying, but I won't buy digital then. And they're like, you weren't buying digital now. You were committed to creating and fostering and growing a physical collection. We've calculated this and determined that it's not worth it. The margins aren't good enough. They've already factored you in, and your buying power is too weak. I know this is sobering, but like, your buying power is way too weak as a fan of physical. You're actively saying that you are going to, in perpetuity, give them less money. And they're like, yeah, we've already factored you in the equation. We don't want you buying physical. Here's the thing. There's a good portion of people that'll just switch. And they'll be like, well, I want to play GTA 6. I want to play the latest Call of Duty. I want to play the latest Spider-Man. They'll just switch. And so you're so quickly replaced because of the buying power that you don't have. You're so quickly replaced. The margins on the physical purchase is so low that like they're like, that's fine. All we need is one person to switch to digital, and they replace two of you over here that were that committed to physical. Like, the math's just not in your favor. It's not. It's not evil. It's not an attack on you. It's just business. It's like they say in the movies, like, it's nothing personal. It's just business. Like, that's all this is. It's a business decision. They're not being anti-consumer. They're not attacking you. They're not evil. They're like, well, no. I mean, this is becoming a lost cause for us. It's a bad business venture for us. We're not going to continue doing this. Well, you should have to. Why? Why? What are you entitled to? Nothing. What do they owe you? Nothing. This is true of every business that you buy a product from. They don't owe you anything. They don't. Like, think about how your loyalty is being verbalized. You're like, well, if you don't do the thing that I like, I'm going to stop buying from you. They're like, okay, yeah, we understand. That's the deal. That's the deal. Your loyalty is a fragile thing. The fragility of consumer loyalty, they're not any more loyal to you than you are to them. They're like, that's fine. We've determined that this is a better route for us. We're going to take this route. And you're like, well, I determined that this is the best route for me. I'm going to take this route. I guess we're parting ways. And they're like, yeah, I guess we are. It's nothing personal. They're not loyal to you. You're not really loyal to them. You're only willing to give them money so far as they do the things that you like. That's not loyalty. That's a consumer relationship. That's what I've always told people. I was like, I don't give these companies my loyalty. I give them my money. And the minute they're not giving me the thing that I want, I'm not going to give them my money because I'm not loyal to them. I'm not. I'm like, yeah, you're doing the thing that I like. Here's my money. That's it. It's that simple. Why are you using the term buy? You don't own anything. You own a license. It's just that it's revocable. You do, in fact, own something. We need to redefine digital items as not licenses, but actual products that we own. That is where the fight needs to go. Ghost in the Garage says exactly an 80-20 split over 1.9 billion versus 109 million advantage to digital. That's all these companies want to see. Yeah. They can call it an attack. They can call it business. I don't care. Put enough pressure on Sony to fix this. I'm just trying to spell this out to y'all. You don't have buying power in this equation. You don't. How do you own something that's revocable? I mean, you own your car, but then if you default on the payments, it can get repoed. Is this a new concept to people? What do you mean? There can be versions of ownership that can be revoked. Like, same with your house. Like, I own the house, even though it's not. What do you not own your car or your house until it's fully paid off? It's a version of ownership, where as long as you maintain your payments, yeah, you quote unquote own it. So, like, with a license, as long as you don't break the rules, they should have no grounds to revoke it. The problem is they can for any reason. That's where the true fight is. The true fight is what we own is, it's kind of like owning the car or the house, and the bank can just be like, but we can just decide to take it away from you and claim it as our own, right? Now, obviously, the contracts and things that you sign prevent them from doing that. But imagine signing a mortgage and a bank loan where they literally dictated that in their legalese. They'd be like, yeah, you know, at any point in time, we can just decide to kick you out of the house, even if you're paying your payments. It doesn't matter. It's just up to us. That's the problem, is it's revocable for literally no reason, for no cause. Like, I understand revoking someone's license if they're cheating in a video game and ruining it for other people. That's perfectly fine. They're damaging the property and the product that this company is trying to sell, and they're breaking the rules. Okay. Yeah, that's fine. That should be enforced. The problem is it being a revocable license, there needs to be good cause, which I think the only good cause for a revoked license is, in fact, cheating. So, as I've argued many, many times, the fight is not to browbeat a company and to continue making physical where they make less money per purchase. They're not going to do that. You don't have buying power in that equation, but you do have power with respect to regulatory bodies that would argue they need to actually own these things. If you're taking their choice away. See, this is similar to my argument about how we could argue for refunds. These companies got too greedy and they made a mistake. The minute they started giving us revocable licenses, they gave us all the grounds we needed to say, if you can take it away, I can give it back. We should be able to refund these. I think that's a logical, very strong argument. It's succinct. I think you could make that very compelling in a court of law to say, If they can take it back, we can give it back. We should be able to refund these items. We're not properly protected from games that launch that are basically crap, broken, or not functioning properly. In the exact same way, they're getting too greedy. If you're going to say digital only going forward, you're taking choice away from the consumer. Consumers now have grounds to be better protected. They don't have other options of purchase. If they can only buy games going forward digital only, they should have proper ownership of said items. They're giving us the very ground we need to argue this legally, instead of brigading tweets with community notes and thinking that you're achieving something. Like anybody's going to give a rip about that in 5 years. Like, you guys remember, man, we stormed the castle with community notes. That'll be done in a couple of months. It might even be done by the end of this month. People are just going to give up. They'll find a new thing to fight. They'll find a new thing to be angry about, okay? That's the true fight, is to fight for actual protection so that you don't get some revocable license that the company... And this court case with Xbox in Brazil is a really, really good starting place. It's a really good starting place. It's like, give the guy his stuff back. Don't you tell him... they told him to rebuy everything. Like... They basically told him to rebuy everything, and he went into small claims court in Brazil and he won. Microsoft sent 12 lawyers. The reason they sent 12 lawyers is because they thought that was the better choice than just giving him his account back, which is very interesting. It's almost like they knew you're going to create legal precedent and case law for the user claiming ownership over these things, and they don't want that. Microsoft doesn't want it. Sony doesn't want it. They don't want you to be able to claim ownership over these things. Physical ownership rights were built on the back of decades of physical goods consumer right advocacy. Digital's a whole new arena. This is correct. And we have our very, very first good test case with this Brazilian case of the guy fighting back and saying, give me my stuff back, man. Like, you know what I mean? It's my account. The disc grift is the wrong fight. It's about digital ownership and refunds. Yeah, I just think we live in a time where there's a lot of money to be made off of the emotion of anger. And I think that, I'm just going to be honest with you guys, last week was, not since probably 2022, have I felt like, during pretty much the entire year of 2022, I was like, I don't want to do this anymore. I don't like this. I hate this. It was hard. It was grueling. It was tough. I'd lost everything. I was rebuilding. It was extremely discouraging. I felt like we were always facing setbacks. And last week was the first time in a long time I was like, man, frick all this. This is stupid. This is stupid. Like, the incessant battle with emotionally charged, like bad faith, the dishonesty, it just makes it really tough. It's like, because I know we just want to talk games, but this is a significant moment in the history of gaming. This is a significant moment in the history of gaming. Like, if you look back in 5 years, we will remember 2026 as a significant moment. Like, wow, that was the year that Xbox made just absolute far-reaching decisions and ramifications for the trajectory of the entire brand. PlayStation announced basically the end of physical. GTA 6 released. Like, an insane year. And it's just drenched in foolishness. And it's really hard to hack through it all. It's extremely hard to hack through it all. Because you're constantly dealing with, like, bad actors, trolls, people saying things that they don't even believe because they're just trying to bait you into getting irritated. Like, it's extremely hard to enter this space as me, as I think, as I operate, the things that I care about. It's extremely tiring because you're constantly faced with it. It's just like, you know, and what people say about you and how they'll misrepresent your positions and the things they'll do. It's like, this is just exhausting. It's like, why can't we just cover these things factually and then voice our opinions about them? And I know that's an absurd thing to ask these days. John Rodriguez with 21 months. Imagine you buy the latest sports title or COD and the new one comes out and they revoke the license to the older one. Well, and again, that would be, obviously that'd be extremely concerning, but currently, listen, the only reason they haven't done it to that degree is because it would be more damaging to them than us. Like, if you started doing that to people, like the levels of legal response would be so far reaching. That's not a forest fire they want to start. We're supposed to hear about their record profits. Yeah. And they're making sure they continue to make record profits. Like, I think people think very, very one-dimensionally about these companies. Like, oh, you just made record profits. Why would you do this? And they're like, because we want to continue to make record profits. What, are you new? Like, that's what their response would be. If you get in a room with executive level people like this, they're never like, hey guys, we made record profits, so we can just kind of coast for a couple of years. No, they're going to pinch every penny. They're going to cut every piece of fat. They're going to do everything they can. That means nothing to us. We shouldn't care. What do you mean you invoked it? What do you mean? You invoked their record profits. You acted as if you cared, as if that was grounds for them to not do this. And now you're saying it should mean nothing to us. We shouldn't care. Then why did you invoke it as a point? Lona, your logical, common sense voice is needed in this space. Don't let the other grifters win. Stay strong. We're with you. I wasn't telling you guys that like I was on the verge of quitting. I just got to Friday. If you guys go watch the roundtable, you'll catch something. Halfway through the roundtable, I stopped talking. Go watch the episode with Ginger and King David and Chrono. Halfway through the roundtable, I just stopped talking. I don't really offer any commentary because I had nothing left. I was worn out. I was like, I'm tired of this. I'm done. Like I don't want to re-explain. I don't want to have to add context. I don't want to have to add nuance or facts. I'm done. I was just done. I was like, I don't want to do this again this week. I just didn't have the energy for it. Like, the topics and the way they're framed and the way we have to constantly talk about them, it's not good for me emotionally and mentally. It takes me to a place I don't like going. I get irritated. I get snippy. I get annoyed. I'm like, I don't want to do this with content. Content's supposed to be fun. Like, making YouTube videos and live streaming is supposed to be fun. And I got halfway through that episode, I was like, I'm not doing this. I was like, I'm not. I don't even want to pretend. I just stopped talking because it was like I was done. I got to that point of the week and I was like, I'm not just gonna keep redoing this thing where we gotta like make sure, you know, we keep things factual or whatever. It was like I just checked out. I wasn't mad. I wasn't upset with anybody. I wasn't angry. I was just like, I'm done. I can't do this anymore. You know? It's like we came out of June. June was like, oh man, it's like the mecca of gaming. It's like everything is great, everything is awesome, and then we go into Darktown. You know, we go into Darkville. Where can we find this roundtable? You guys can look up the gaming roundtable or look up Ginger Prime TV. You can look up either and you can find it. I mean, it's not that exciting. You guys are going to go watch the episode. Nothing happens. I don't get mad. I don't get flippant. I just stop talking. I'm just like, yeah, I'm just kind of over this. I don't want to do this right now. And it had nothing to do with anybody. It wasn't Ginger or David or Chrono. It was just the whole thing in chat. It was like the combination of the topic and chat. I was like, yeah, I'm out. I just tapped out. Hero says, I don't get it with some of the people defending these companies. I agree with you, Lono. Fight for the right thing. But it's some of the people out there that don't want you to fight at all. Crazy work. Well, there are I feel like in all the years that I've done this, I feel like every argument has a crazy uncle on both sides, right? Bad actors, bad faith crowd have pushed you to this point in its video games. Imagine how it feels right now about like aristocratic and big G were. Oh yeah, government. Yeah. Oh, I know. I would never want to make content about about culture or politics. I would never want to make content about culture or politics. You know what I think would be, and I mean this. You know what would be more calm right now and less like that? Would be content about religion. I mean it. I feel like that's like the calmest waters right now. People would be like, yeah, that's not, it's just people believe different things. It's like you get into gaming conversations and cultural conversations and political conversations, and it is just knocked down, drag out, awful. And then religious conversations, everybody's just kind of like, that's like the chill thing now. Like, you know what I mean? Like, bringing up Xbox at Thanksgiving's more contentious than bringing up the Bible. You know what I'm saying, y'all? Like, it's like, what is going on? It's like the world is upside down. Anyways. Even entertainment, TVs and movies is like that. Like, the channels that just hate on every movie that comes out. And, like, it's just, oh my gosh. I don't know what it's like the emotion of our time is anger. You know? Everybody's just so angry all the time. And then you get angry by osmosis. You know what I mean? Like, I got angry and frustrated last week just by osmosis. I was like, this is so annoying. And you start lashing out at people because it just starts to frustrate me. Anyways, what I was going to say is, in all the years I've done this, I've noticed something. That, like, every debate and every conversation has the two crazy uncles. There's one on each side, right? So, when we start talking about PlayStation going physical only, the PlayStation audience has those crazy uncles that are like, oh, you guys are losers. I've been digital for years. Ha, ha, ha. No more plastic for you. Like, what the frick? Why would that be your position? Right? Now, on the other side of that debate, there's the crazy uncle that says, we're going to burn Sony to the ground, and this is evil, and they're attacking the customer. And I just want them both to shut up. I just want them both to shut up. It's like, be quiet. You're both crazy. Neither of you are talking sense. You're both nuts. And yet, the algos love the crazy uncles. Like, they're the ones that get the clicks. They're the ones that get the traction. And the rest of us are just sort of in the middle being like, good Lord. Like, why does it have to be so extreme all of the time? This guy says, I'm not angry at all. I just educate people. Calling me stupid is false framing and straw man. Well, it wouldn't be a straw man. It would be ad hominem. Somebody calling you stupid is just an insult. Straw man would be arguing against a weak version of your argument. Omar says, I'm going to consolidate here. Can we say that the physical guys are the minority? Yes. Do they have purchasing power? No. Is their proposed solution misguided? Sure. Okay, we're tracking really well so far. But without some form of outcry, something to draw attention to this being an issue, what do we expect to happen? I would argue that in some way that brigade may be more effective than calling your congressman. As I stated, that was 20... As I stated, the DMCA was passed relatively quickly. That was 20 years ago. Corporations can lobby Congress and bankroll. Okay, I get where you're coming from, Omar. Here's the problem with the public outcry. Okay, Jagged Wizard with the Prime. It starts to look like, as my analogy that I just gave, it starts to look like a group of crazy uncles. Everybody looks nuts, so nobody's really taking it serious. Because do you know what it looks like right now? It looks like the same mob that brigaded Yote trailers. It looks like the same mob that lied about the ending of Saros. They look the same. Like, it just looks like angry noise. Like, I get where you're coming from. I totally do. Like, We must say something. If this is the only way we can communicate this, this is what we must do. It's kind of like remember when Helldivers 2 got downvoted because of the PSN thing, and people were like, that's not really what the review process is for. Like, you're tanking a game's score over something that, like, PlayStation's trying to do. And we got in this big, huge hullabaloo about, like, should that even have been what people did? And I remember saying, well, that was their only means of communication, and they won, right? In the same vein, I 100% get where you're coming from. You're like, this is our means of communication right now, and this is a great way to scream and shout. The problem is, number one, you have people lying. They were lying about that one analyst, claiming he had a vested interest in doing it. Two, you have people brigading tweets that have nothing to do with it. So then you just look foolish and vengeful. The problem with a mob is the more angry it gets, the more foolish it gets. Like, you have a mob outside protesting, that's great. The fever pitch of anger, they start throwing things. They start lighting things on fire. Now you're in counterproductive land. Like, it spins out of control. I believe it has spun out of control. And I'm not advocating for controlling it. That's just the natural course of this type of thing. We've seen it happen time and time again historically. Everybody's really angry. The anger gets to a fever pitch. It becomes uncontrolled. It becomes counterproductive and unproductive, and then it dissipates. We just haven't hit the dissipation point yet. The purpose of straw man is to build a different focus than the argument while still accomplishing the task of seeming to win. So yes, it is. No, that is literally not the definition of straw man. The definition of straw man is reconstructing their arguments to make it look weaker, dumber, or more foolish than it is so that you can argue against that weak version of it. That's why you call it a straw man. You're beating up on a straw man. Straw man is not to take focus off of the original task. To take the focus off the actual argument would be considered a red herring. A red herring is a fallacy of bringing up something unrelated to distract from the actual argument. You're getting your fallacies mixed up. 100 bits from Rope. These clowns are delusional. All they did last week was cry and complain about physical because their corporations that they bought half the industry. And then they fired half the industry after years of failure. They went on to complain about physical because the leader in the industry made a worldwide change and the leader has no competition to stop them. I wouldn't call the Helldivers thing a win. Tons of countries got cut out of the accounts. They're still required for future games. Hidden Siryu, that would have happened no matter what. If they would have enforced the PSN requirement, it would have cut those countries out anyway. They're cousins for a reason. They are for the same intent. Yes, all fallacies have similar intentions. That doesn't mean that you can just use them interchangeably. Come on, man. All fallacies have similar intent. Stacking the deck, poisoning the well, ad hominem, straw man, red herring. They all have the same intent, to win the argument in an underhanded or sort of, I guess you could say sometimes it's unethical because it's a form of dishonesty. Maybe you could even say it's immoral. It's an underhanded way of arguing. It's an incomplete or it's an illogical way. It's a logical fallacy. It's a way of arguing that doesn't actually achieve the aims of the argument. Yes, they're all cousins in that regard. All fallacies are related. Yep. They all meet up at the family reunion together, but you still need to use, the appropriate terms. And when the guy called you stupid, it was not a straw man. It was ad hominem. He was attacking you instead of your argument. I want all these guys complaining on physical to post pictures of their library so we can actually tell. Oh, many of them do. Many of them do. They're quite proud of their collections, and I think that that's totally fine. It's something that they've invested a lot of time and money into. They've invested a lot of time and money into their collections. I think it's fine to be proud of that. I think it's fine to want to protect it. I think they're going beyond what would be. I just don't think it's productive. I don't. I feel for them. I'm not happy that they're going through it. I'm not like ha ha ha, like thumbing my nose at them, like yeah, you digital for life. Like there are people out here like proud to be digital only, and I'm like, I don't really understand that. I don't know why you would be proud to be digital only. Like, there's nothing in that. I've admitted to you guys I'm part of the problem because it's convenient. I've not once uttered a word about it to be like, I'm proud that I'm digital only. I'm like, I did it because it's easier. That would be like, I don't even know. I can't think of a good example. I don't know. That would be like bragging that you didn't use the coupons at checkout because it was easier. Like, it actually didn't benefit you to do that. You sound like a man without a country. At some point, you got to pick a side. No, I don't have to pick a side. Your sentence presumes there's a fight with sides that I have to choose a side in. What? I don't accept your premise. There is no fight here. There isn't. We're consumers. That's it. At the end of the day, my side has always been on the side of the symbiotic relationship continuing in a healthy way so that I can keep gaming. That's it. I want consumers to be treated well, have good choices, and get good products so that then the products themselves are very successful, so the relationship just continues in harmony. That's what I want. Why? Because then I get to continue doing the thing that I want to do. That's why I keep saying we should be fighting for digital protection rights, because that is the huge glaring hole in our existence as consumers of digital entertainment. That's the biggest glaring problem right now. Just wait until the licenses only last a year. I mean, there's no real reason to even fearmonger that. That, again, would be absolutely counterproductive to their business, right? So the point is that I'm not picking a side in like a war or a fight. You know what I mean? I'm saying that the consumer and the businesses need to continue in a symbiotic relationship so that the games are good, supported, sell well, make tons of money, and then the consumer is happy with said purchase so it can continue. The biggest glaring problem in the relationship is that we are not properly protected with respect to digital purchases. How are you claiming you want choices? They're literally taking them away. Which is why I said I don't like it and I don't defend it. But I'm not going to fight against it because it's a losing battle. Like, if you study any history at all, you will find it to be incredibly alarming how often army generals give up on fights. Just go look how many times George Washington retreated and abandoned a fight. Had he not done that, we'd probably be living very different lives right now as Americans. Just go study him in particular. Just George Washington. And how many times he was like, we got to walk away from this fight. Okay? Sometimes the fight it's over. It's a lost cause. You got to get out. And I'm like, fighting for physical's the wrong fight. You're not going to win. You're going to spin your tires, waste energy, spit in the wind, and achieve nothing. I own countless digital games right now where I had no other option but to buy them digital. This is already a thing. That's the other thing I think people are asleep on. You guys are asleep on this, some of you. There are AA games and indie games right now. You can only buy them digitally. And if you're supporting those AA studios, those smaller studios, you don't own any of those games because of the way that the digital licensing works. And that's a problem that I think we should try to rectify. That's the point of a man being without a country, a.k.a. a fence sitter. You think you haven't chosen a side, but you have? I reject your attempt to put me on a side. I think you're trying to do something for your own satisfaction, and your opinion doesn't concern me. It's immaterial. I don't care what you think about that. I am choosing a side. I'm saying consumers should be fighting this fight. This would be better ground to win for the consumer. A 10 bomb from Cardoc Ren. You're just attempting to ratchet up the conversation to like hyperbolic emotional language of like, well, this is a fight and you won't choose a side. No, I'm choosing a side. I'm choosing we can win this fight for the consumer. This is better ground. We win this fight and we stand stronger into the future that we're heading. We're heading into a future where physical goes away whether you like it or not. It either happens in 2028 or it happens in 2038. It doesn't matter when it happens. That's where we're headed. Also, right now, There are tons of games you cannot buy physical. It's not an option. Are you going to browbeat every AA studio, every indie studio, and tell them that they're anti-consumer and that they're evil? No. But you don't own their games when you buy them. You're buying a revocable license according to the terms and conditions of the platforms that you're buying these games on. So I'm saying that's the biggest glaring problem. See, the irony of fighting so hard for physical is many of you want to reinforce our lack of ownership. Like you're just like passively accepting the fact that we surrender consumer rights the minute we buy something that's digitally. And you're like, yeah, I'm totally fine with that because I buy physical. Bordeaux proved you can make a difference if you have a pair. You content creators need to collectively grow a pair. If I was concerned with you thinking whether or not I had a pair, I'd be in a pretty bad place. You're free to think that we need to quote unquote grow a pair. Why don't you do it? You do it. Go. Wage your war. Like trying to convince people to join your side by insinuating that they're like fence sitting or they're cowardly or whatever it is you're attempting to do. You're actually making me feel like I hope you lose because you're attempting to fight this in a way that you're attempting to like indict the people that won't join you. You're just attempting to indict the people that won't join you. And it's like, all you're going to do is motivate them to not join you and think that you're kind of a jerk. They're going to be like, I mean, you're saying, I need to grow up here and I'm a fence sitter just because I don't agree with you. And I think we have a better fight to fight over here. As movies are digital now, TV shows are digital now, like everything is digital. I think we should have better digital protection rights as consumers. I think that's a better fight to fight. And you're like, yeah, well, you're a fence sitting coward. Okay, good luck with your fight. 20 from the OA, a $20 super chat. In Brazil, you can revoke digital purchases only if the consumer breaks terms, and even so, it will be analyzed by court. Purchases are final unless it's a subscription, and you need a strong reason to try, so Microsoft's move was stupid. Yeah, that Brazilian case should be really, really good case law, or at least a case study to say, this is exactly what the concern is. If we're heading towards a digital future and you lose your account, like you just lose all that stuff, that's a serious problem. And I think the Brazilian case is well timed. Gaming is cooked either way you slice it. Look at the studio like Bluepoint had to be shut down to fund Bungie. Xbox laying off half their staff. What you said about Bluepoint being shut down to fund Bungie is just pure and utter fiction. That's not what happened. Bungie was working on a live service game. Bluepoint was working on a live service game, which they shouldn't have been. And then when that project was canceled, Sony worked with them for like 1.5 to 2 years to try to find them a project to work on. And when FromSoft rejected the second pitch of a Bloodborne remake, remaster, whatever you want to call it, they were given the opportunity to become a support studio, and they didn't want to become a support studio, so they were shut down. They literally worked with them to try to find them something to work on. They weren't shut down to fund Bungie. That's like totally made up. When did the stream start? Oh, when did Steam start? I don't know their inception date. I don't know. No one is trying to con you to do anything. Just stop lying. You don't care, and you take whatever these companies shove down your throat. That's the point. No, I do not. You understand that my fight's more significant than yours in taking power away from the company, right? You're throwing stones at a mountain. I'm trying to blow it up from the bottom. Like, you're like, we can tear down this mountain by throwing pebbles at it. And I'm like, you're not going to achieve anything. What are you even doing? I'm actually trying to disrupt their balance of power, which is far more significant than whatever you're doing. And now you're using the colorful language of like, well, you'll take whatever they shove down your throat. And it's like, no, it sounds like you're seeing tweets about me or content about me that have said that, which is just more dishonesty. I'm not saying we should accept this. I'm saying we should fight a more significant fight. You understand that fighting for true digital ownership is far more damaging to Sony. Is that lost on some of y'all? I know that doesn't fit the grifting content that lies and says, oh, he's just a corporate shill and he'll just swallow everything they give him. I know that doesn't fit into their paradigm. Some of them are too stupid to understand what I'm saying. They literally lack the education. It's like, you're just too dumb to get it. I'm arguing a more significant blow to Sony than you are. You just want to have them, forced to make discs? What the frick does that even do to them? Other than hurt their margins on the sale. They're still making your money. They're still taking your money. Let's say you win and you get them to keep making discs. You've won nothing. You've won nothing. You've won a piece of plastic is all you've won. They still are in the position of power. They're still not granting true digital ownership, and their TOS can still shut your entire account down. Meaning anything you've ever done digitally is gone. And you got to start all the way over. No trophies, no profile, nothing. You are fighting for nothing, and you're acting like I'm the one that's like just accepting what the corporation will do. I'm actually fighting for a true disruption of power here. Like, no, the way they treat our digital stuff and the way they treat our profiles, this Brazilian case against Xbox is a great test case. Give him his account back. It's his. It's his purchases. It's his stuff. That is a significant blow to what these companies want. You want to scream and maul and yell and brigade tweets and do community notes about discs? Go right ahead. You go, girl. I think it's wasted effort, and it has nothing to do with defending the corporations. You couch it as defending the corporations and just swallowing whatever they'll do because you don't want to have a good faith argument. You want to make it personal and attack me. We can try to force them to change by how we spend our money. That's a big part of how we got here. We could try to force it by regulation, but that would require people with spines winning elections. Well, I think the regulatory bodies are different than the regulatory bodies tend to care far more about the consumer. We're not rallying to a president. We're rallying to people that, Lena Khan tried with the ABK trial. Silk77 with the Prime sub. Thank you so much. So, you're never going to force them to buy discs. As I've said multiple times today, you do not have buying power in this equation. You don't. You don't have buying power. You don't. Because you're giving them less money. They've already calculated your buying power in the equation, and they've concluded not enough. It's not enough. They need one customer to buy a game digitally to replace two of you that are committed to physical. That's all it takes is one. That's not a good ratio with respect to buying power. It isn't. It's not. So if you got 100,000 people, okay? You got 100,000 people. If one... I'm going to stop talking Twitch. We just switched we're switching Ninja servers on YouTube. What the frick is going on? Are we back? No. I can't tell what's going on. Hang on. Okay, we're back. We must have switched ingest servers. We switched servers. $20 from Street Shadow says, on the topic of stock selling, I looked into this and asked a friend. The selling is more in line with pre-scheduled transaction. Sony also bought back their own stock this year too. It's not all selling. And then Chronic Spin Dash with a member, welcome back. The video stuttered, but audio is fine. Oh, I don't know what that was. It was like we switched ingest servers. Usually when we switch ingest servers, you guys can't hear me until we get on a new one. So that's why I just kind of stops talking. What were we talking about? Oh, yeah. The stock selling with Hiroki, I had other people saying that was scheduled way in advance. Now, again, some of it could literally be because they're like, what the heck is this? Oh, sorry. Some of this could literally be executives that are like, yeah, it's about to be really bad. Let's lower some of our stock ownership. Like, they sell half their stocks. That's not all their stocks. So they didn't like dump their entire, stocks. But they're probably just taking care of their own portfolio because they know it's about to become pretty bad. Like, the hardware problem is a real problem. The AI thing is going to cause real issues for Sony and for other hardware companies. So they probably looked at the forecast and said, yeah, I'd like to get rid of some of my stocks. They're just managing their portfolio, is what I'm imagining is happening. Schedule stock sell-offs are called 10b5-1 plans. It's a measure to protect from insider trading. Yeah, so they scheduled these probably months ago is what I read. This wasn't something that like they did on a whim. And again, they likely did it because they were like, yeah, the forecasts aren't looking so great. I'd like to make sure I'm protecting my portfolio. Let's take half my stocks and put them into something else. Like, I don't know. I don't think it's what people are trying to make it out to be. Like they're getting ready to like pump and dump or something. I'm pretty sure there's regulations that make that almost impossible. That's why the whole crypto thing is so worrisome, because that's what people do. They inflate the value, then they dump and run, and everybody else is left holding devalued, stuff. A 20 spot from the OA. I want to see the world burn today. If I'm Sony, I'll concede victory and keep doing physical, but doing it with poor quality materials so the disc would only last 2 to 3 years. Boom, there you go, Sony, you're welcome. New World shutting down. I thought we already knew that. This guy says, you all trust the companies so much. None of these conversations are good faith. You all are in their grasp and you know it. I feel like you're just here to bait. You just said that we just did it again. We just switched ingest servers again. You're saying that these conversations are not in good faith. No, they are in good faith. People are saying what they believe and coming from positions that they truly feel are real. And no one's coming from a position of trust. We're coming from the position of, we don't own and we don't have enough consumer protection rights. The companies have too much power. You're like willfully not listening so that you can push forward buzzword terms to, I guess, try to disrupt chat. Like, the irony is I don't feel like you're in good faith here at all. You're just trying to disrupt. You're throwing around fallacy terms like straw man, incorrectly using it, by the way. And now you're saying that none of these conversations are in good faith. What do you mean? People are 100% coming here in good faith. They're saying, this is what I think, this is my view, and this is what I think should happen. Even the guy that was telling me I should pick a side, I don't think he was in bad faith. I just think he's too passionate about it. His conviction about it is so strong, he sees me as like, well, you're either my enemy or you're my ally. You can't be anything other than that. You're calling physical defenders grifters? That's not in good faith. I've not called the physical defenders grifters. There are people grifting on the conversation who don't care, and they just want to stoke the fires of anger. And yes, I do think brigading tweets with community notes is not productive. I've not once said, even earlier, I said in the discussion that there's a crazy uncle. There's the guy that's like, physical doesn't matter, you're an idiot, and all digital, yay. And then there's the people that are like, this is evil, and the corporation's attacking us. I think both are too extreme. I've not said all physical defenders are grifters. I'm talking about the people that are literally grifting on the topic. Like they're literally using this as a means to make a bunch of money. I mean, King David and I don't see eye to eye on a lot of issues, and even he said this on the round table on Friday. He's like, there's a lot of people that are just doing the grifts. They're just using this to make money. That's all they're doing. Like, they don't genuinely believe it. They see where listen, you need to pay careful attention to something. Okay? You need to pay careful attention to something. The people that go with the mob make a ton of money by going with the mob. You understand how counterproductive it is for me to take the positions that I take? Is my channel exploding with virality? Am I getting tons of people that are like, yeah, man? No, I get name called. I get called a corporate shill. I get called a pony. Do you know what I mean? Like, if you go with the mob, you can make a ton of money and get a ton of subs. Like, I don't see how anybody doesn't see through that veil of, like, don't you think it's a coincidence that certain people and channels and personalities in these spaces, they just always go with whatever the mob is angry about? Haven't you caught on to that? Seriously, take 2 seconds, spend a day, and pretend that you don't have a position or an opinion, and just watch from the outside. Just watch from the outside. You'll start to catch it. Like, I would have more to gain by just screaming and shouting and yelling platitudes about us versus they, and they, it's them, it's they, they're trying to hurt us. A lot of these people hate pronouns, but they really like they. There's a 10 bomb from Hidden Sear You. Like, it would be so much easier to do that. I'd get more viewership. I'd get more subs. I'd get more money. Like, that's why I told you guys, like, last week, I got to the end of the week and I was just exhausted. We should have 300 likes. Yeah, get us to 300 likes, y'all. I just get exhausted because, like, what wins the day is exaggeration and emotion and dishonesty. That's what wins in these spaces. That's what wins in these spaces. You strawman improperly. You literally strawmanned me. No, you literally used strawman improperly. We had to educate you on the fact that that's not what strawman means, and you defined red herring instead and thought that that's what a strawman was. I was educating you on the fact that he was doing ad hominem. He did do an argumentative fallacy. You just picked the wrong one. Nobody's strawmanning you. Saying I'm trying to disrupt and you selectively read what you feel like, none of that is in good faith. Well, I will spare you having to be here any longer. I can tell that you're just here to disrupt. You're not here to have a good conversation. You are not here to have a good conversation. You are the definition of bad faith. You've done nothing but disrupt with these invocations of buzzwords that you know are going to get my attention. Like, you know, if you use fallacies incorrectly, I'm going to get tripped up and say, wait, no, you're using that wrong, because, like, that's how I operate, and you're just a big distraction. And every single time somebody disagrees with you, it's bad faith and they're straw manning you. Like, how many times are you going to do that this morning? Is Jimmy back? I don't know. Guys, look at my collection of four PS4 games I have used from GameStop. Like, Sony didn't get a dime from you. You don't give two craps. They don't give two craps about you and your physical. Well, again, I don't think that it's that extreme. It's not that they don't give a frick about you. They're doing line item math is all they're doing. That's all they're doing. You're a line item. And I don't know why this needs to be stated. I've said this for years. This is why I kept telling people that anti-consumer was a misnomer. It's like, that's not a thing. Because anti-consumer presumes the antithesis that there could be something that is pro-consumer. There is nothing that is pro-consumer. They are all. Every corporation, Microsoft, Google, Sony, Nintendo, they are not pro-consumer. They are pro-profit. It's what they answer to. I've tried to preach this gospel for years. You guys get woken up to the fact that Sony is pro-profit, and you're like, I can't believe they're doing this. It's because they're not pro-consumer. They never have been pro-consumer. They're not pro-you. They're pro-profit. It's what they answer to. You are simply a part of the equation to achieve maximum profit. That's all you are. I've been telling people this for the longest time. We get so stuck on things and so incensed, and that's why I say people start to sound like entitled Karens. It's like, this is a business. You know that, right? This is a giant corporation that answers to shareholders, and they've got to make sure profit's protected. If they upset you, they're willing to upset you to the degree that it doesn't hurt profit. Always will be. They will always be willing to upset you and frustrate you and disappoint you, only to the degree that it doesn't hurt their profit. So in this scenario, they're willing to upset the physical-only customers because they know your buying power is weak, the margins on physical sales are terrible, and the decline of physical sales versus digital is going to continue. They know it. It's a trend and a trajectory that's not going to change course. And you're like, oh, but this game sold X, and this game sold X amount of physical. None of that matters. They've crunched all these numbers. They see them way better than we do. And they're like, hey, we're willing to upset you guys. 100 bits from Wired Rope. That guy was an idiot. Me calling him an idiot is 1, true, and 2, a personal attack known as ad hom idiot. Stop it, Wired Rope. Collide says, no one really cares about companies' margins. We just care about games and what we bought, to be honest. That's why a lot of people call you a corporate shill. I don't care if they're either too dishonest to engage with the entirety of my argument or if they're too stupid to understand it. I can't concern myself with that. I've always said, I want the companies to make as much money as possible because they're going to keep making the thing that I love. This idea that we should be waging war against profit is so stupid and so self-destructive. You're literally chopping off the branch you're standing on. People are just, it's like you don't see it. You do not see it. It's like you want every company to break even. It's like, no. The anti-profit ideologues in these spaces, you don't understand what you're arguing. It would be like me going to my favorite restaurant and being like, man, couldn't you lower the prices? It's kind of, it's kind of expensive in here. And he was like, I got to make my margins and pay my people. And I'm like, yeah, well, I just think that you should lower the price for me, though. Lower the price for everybody here. This is ridiculous. And then the guy does, and he doesn't make his margins, and then he has to close down. It's like, I'm happy if you just break even. Like, being anti-profit, you're literally telling the company to fail, being anti-profit. If you want them to not care about profit, you're basically saying, hey, could you guys just fail, please, so that I can be happy? Happy with what? What are you going to be happy with? Less games, less studios, less stuff to play? That's why I keep saying the us versus them stuff, it's so drenched in ignorance. It's an ignorant starting position to be like, well, we should be against these companies making profit. That's nonsensical. It's like, don't you want them to continue making games? I want them to make so much profit that they grow and they hire new people, because that means they're more efficient. That means they can do more stuff. That means they can do quality assurance to a better degree. That means they can maybe bring the product to market faster. I want them to make so much money that they're able to do that and they're able to expand. Don't you think it would have been better, all that money that Bungie made? Don't you think it would have been better if they would have managed the money better? You'd still have Destiny. You'd maybe even have a Destiny 3. They mismanaged the money. Is that a good thing? This is what's crazy to me. All of the anti-profit, us versus them ideologues out here, they should be throwing a parade for Bungie. They did the thing that you think that they should do. They weren't making any profit. So go and cheer for Bungie. Everyone clap, throw a parade. They're your heroes. All of you anti-profit ideologues should be thrilled with how Bungie ran the company, because they ran the company into the red. And now where are they? Half the bandwidth of what's even needed to run the company. And you probably aren't even going to see a game from them from a really long time. But by golly, they didn't make any profit, so you guys should all be very happy. All you anti-profit guys should be thrilled with how Bungie ran their company. And there they sit, devalued as an asset and barely able to make a game. But they didn't make any profit. That's how stupid, that is how stupid some of this sounds. That's why I get so frustrated by it. I'm like, this is just utter ignorance and foolishness. You should want the companies to make tons of money because then they can reinvest it. They can hire. They can fund another game. We all get really excited when like a small studio makes a ton of money. Why? Because you're like, oh, they're going to be able to fund their next game and they're going to be able to stay open. That's great. But some companies and studios cross the Rubicon and you're like, no, you shouldn't make profit. Well, then what are they going to do when they don't make profit? Xbox wasn't making profit? Yeah, look at Xbox. Look at how poorly managed Xbox was. Spend. You got to spend money to make money. Well, yeah, then the bill comes due. And now you're watching legacy studios get gutted. That's why I get I just get exhausted with it all. It's like everything gets turned into a dog and pony show of like, well, how can we construe this to label him? Well, once we label him, then that's all we need to do. Then we can just lean into the label. Nope, that's literally the problem with these spaces. It's been hijacked and sabotaged by people that have no interest in having a good conversation. All they care about is being a court jester that just makes fun of everybody else, and they're in the mix just constantly doing this label and dismiss thing. Because they don't care. They do not care. That's the thing. If they cared about games, they'd be furious about some of the things going on. They'd be taking these companies to task, and they wouldn't be waging a war against profit. So you're okay with the next generation of consoles costing at least $1,000? Sony's got to make those profits. Well, the question becomes, Mr. Hall, when economic realities hit the fever pitch that they're hitting, that's going to take their cost higher and higher and higher. What ends up happening is if they sell the next PlayStation for $2, that would be an obscene amount of loss for them, and it would end up being a failed business enterprise. It would be a failure, and it would harm them and likely lead to job loss. It'd be catastrophic, right? Now, I'm using an extreme. $2 is an extreme to demonstrate the point. There's a threshold of loss that a company can shoulder on something like that where it doesn't create a cascade of damage and catastrophe. So you're saying you'll be okay with it. You're acting as if this is a moral issue, and I should be against them charging a certain amount of money. I can't be for or against some arbitrary amount of money because what's happening in the hardware space is completely like it's an emergent property of a globalized tech industry is what it is. That's what it is. It's an emergent property of a globalized tech industry where one man, Sam Altman, can go around and make all these promises for RAM. He disrupts the entire global industry of hardware, and everybody else is living in the wake of what he did. Okay, so the AI scare and the RAM and all of this, it's affecting the future prices of things. I mean, if we look at the Steam machine, I told people the Steam machine is going to be more expensive than anybody really is ready for because of what just happened. Valve is on record saying we're not going to subsidize. So if you look at the Steam machine and you look at its actual processing power and then you look at its price, it's insane. It's like this thing's weaker than a 6-year-old console and it's twice as expensive. What the heck is going on? There is no rightness, wrongness here. There isn't. It's like, oh, so you're okay with them charging that? Well, that if they charge that, then they're just greedy. And people are doing the same thing with Valve. Like, they're just greedy. No, Valve is doing the same thing that every other company does. You're just getting woken up to the reality that companies are for profit. That's what they're there for. They're there to generate profit. They're going to protect their profit. I mean, how many yachts do you think Gabe has? Do you think he did that by being like, well, I don't care about profit? Look at the contracts and look at the deals they broker with developers. It's designed so that the house always wins. Even the contracts that Valve signs with people, with companies to sell their games on Steam, it's all designed to benefit Valve. It's designed to make them the most money. It's designed to protect their dominance. Why? Because they care about profit. Deaf side with 52 months. Let me add it to the total. I bought The Adventures of Elliot. This game takes me back to Zelda and the Link to the Past games, but better. Oh, it's so good, dude. I got 15 hours out of it. I easily could have got another 15, but I'm wanting to play the other stuff that's coming out. So I've been playing the Doom the Dark Ages DLC, and it just gets better and better and better. It's reviewing so incredibly well because they listen to feedback. They really, really brought a lot of influence from Doom Eternal, and it's fabulous. It's so, so good. It's just such a tragedy. I'm glad more and more people are calling out how it's such a triumph of a DLC that it makes the layoffs even more insulting. Valve's exception is that they are not publicly traded. They don't answer to shareholders, and they don't need to show infinite growth. But Valve is in the money business. That is one of the saving graces about Valve. It's one of the things that protects them from like a hostile takeover, because if you are publicly traded, you have to entertain a buyout that would benefit your shareholders, and then you're likely going to be heavily pressured to then take that buyout offer. So it's actually good that Valve is not publicly traded, because we wouldn't want them to entertain some of those offers, because Microsoft probably would have made a play for them back when they were in their spending spree days, and it would have been potentially disastrous and bad for the global consumers of games. But they're still in the for-profit business. Like, they literally design things to maximize how much money they make, and they're selling the Steam machine in the exact same way. They're like, why would we lose money on this? Like, Valve is literally like, we're not going to subsidize this. Why would we do that? That's not what they're in the business of. Valve, I tried to tell people before it came out, I said, Valve will not be able to spin up enough scale and buy enough parts to sell that thing at a loss, because the margins will be terrible for them. They're not going to do it. No need to explain economics. I'm talking about at least acting like you give a crap about gamers. The amount of times you bring up Sony's profits should tell you something. Shill behavior. The only time I bring up Sony's profits is when people say that Sony is dying or Sony is in trouble, and I'm like, they're having record profits. They're having the most profitable generation they've ever had. So, once again, I feel like you're just in here to stir up trouble. I don't feel like you're here to have a good conversation. Like, context always gets removed in these spaces. The only time I ever bring up Sony's profits is when somebody pushes forth the false notion that, like, Sony's doing bad or Sony's failing. And I'm like, what do you mean? They're doing great. Thank you so much for the Phi-Bomb. Too thirsty. This bait is trying too hard. Yeah, you really are you're clearly trying to bait. You want like an emotional reaction. You're so see-through, mate. Like, I can see all the way back to your collarbone. Like, I know what you're trying to do. Like, within the context of somebody saying that PlayStation's in trouble and PlayStation's dying, I'm like, I will respond to that and say they're having the most profitable generation ever. Like, what do you mean? They're hitting record profits. See, what's funny to me is people are inconsistent. They want to cite Sony's record profits as an indictment of abandoning physical, but then those same people will talk about how Sony's in trouble and Sony's headed for death. And it's like, but I thought they made record profits. Like, they want to invoke their record profits as an indictment of going purely away from physical to digital only, but then they'll ignore those record profits when they're making up claims about how bad the brand is doing. Sony's profits are relevant to Sony's motivations and choices. Yeah, you are 100% here just trying to bait. You're just continuing to throw out buzzwords and terms that you know are going to, I guess, get a rise in a reaction. Oh, no, he's 100% here to bait. His account's 8 months old. He's just in here on an alt. He's literally, his account's 8 months old. He probably was banned in the past, and he's just in here trying to clip farm, I guess. Sony made $82 billion in annual revenue. Well, there again, their record profits, this is always a dilemma. This is always a dilemma with publicly traded companies. Now, I ran into this when I worked at AT&T, and it was sort of a microcosm of this, okay? So we had an area manager who would come in, and he would look at how well people did in a particular month. And then he would be like, well, you guys exceeded your goals. I guess we need to raise your goals. If you've ever been in that kind of a corporate environment, it makes you want to blow your brains out. You're like, what? Your success is pitted against you. It's horrible. It actually, I'm not trying to be provocative here, that actually has roots in like early forms of slavery in America. I'm not kidding you. Research it. The idea that like, here's your quota, and then if you exceed quota, that's your new quota. It's horrible. It's one of the worst ways to run a company. It's the inverse of how to motivate people. You basically motivate people to not exceed and excel and to be excellent. You motivate them to not do that. That's a demotivation. It's like, wait, so if I'm supposed to sell 10 units every month, I sold 15, got kind of lucky, got a business guy to come in and do a bigger account than I typically get, and now you're going to hold me to 15 every month. So then next month, I'm not going to hit 15. I'm going to hit like 10 or 11, and now I'm going to look like a failure. Like, 10 or 11 is supposed to be considered great, but now it's considered a failure because I had one good month, right? That's a terrible environment to work in. That's a microcosm of what is dangerous in publicly traded environments. You hit record profits, and your shareholders are like, that was great. Can you do that again? And what are you going to do? How are you going to do that? Operational costs are going up. Raw materials are going up. Gas prices, shipping, everything's going up. How are you going to satiate the shareholders who want you to give them profit again, who want record profits again? They got a taste. It's like hitting 15 sales when all you need is 10, and they're like, can you do that again? And you're like, good golly, I don't know. It would be like getting a 15 in a December because the holidays, everybody's coming in and buying, and then this brain-dead manager's like, can you do that in January? And you're like, no. Like, are you an idiot? That's what we're facing. That's why invoking their record profits, it's like, well, yeah, they made record profits. And guess what? They're going to be asked to do it again. They're going to be asked to do it again. Is it right or wrong? We're not having a moral discussion. There is no rightness or wrongness of it. It's how these businesses operate. And describing this to you and explaining this to you will be misconstrued, misrepresented, and clipped out of context to say, he's a shill, he defends the corporations. And it's like, no, I'm just explaining to you how these companies operate. It's not good or bad. It's not right or wrong. It's literally how they operate. The best thing we can do is speak with our wallets and our voices, like buy the things that we think are good, tear down the things that we think are bad, like, hey, bad microtransaction practices or shipping games that are broken. This is why I fight for the ability to refund, because that's another layer of protection that the consumer would have. You play it for an hour, it's broken, busted, and doesn't run very well, and you give it back, and that hurts them financially. You're now motivating them to not do that. And we also then should have the ability to perpetually own things that we purchase digitally. These are the two things I think that we should fight. That's our strongest leverage in this equation, where companies are going to keep doing this. This isn't going to change. It's not like in 5 years there's going to be some victorious, presence in the market. Valve or Microsoft or Sony is going to emerge as the pro-consumer outfit that doesn't care about profit. That isn't going to happen. That's a utopian pipe dream. Anybody selling you that is like, that's the thing too, is that, hang on, I have to thank the super chat here. PWH-Town says, I worked at AT&T for 18 years. I would go to a store and get my crew together, turn the store around to get moved to another store and not reap the benefits. That same thing happened to me, PWH-Town, when I worked at a call center. I would turn the team around, get their numbers up, and then they would move me to another team. And then the doofus that didn't know what he was doing would get to run my team that I got up and running, and guess what he would do? He'd run their morale into the ground because he was an idiot, and then their numbers would start to go down. I was never with a team longer than a month. It was very frustrating. It was like, why don't you just have me train your managers instead? Like, why don't you give me a pay raise and I'll just start training your managers to not suck, because you're just going to keep moving me. It was super frustrating. That would have been, an executive level decision of like assessing talent and fixing a true problem instead of just playing ping pong. But no one's going to emerge as like the for consumer anti-profit, victor here. That's just isn't going to happen. That's not a thing. Like, you have to understand, a lot of what people are doing is they're arguing against an ideal. They're like, well, this company's bad. They're being greedy, and all they care about is profit. Okay, what's the ideal that they're arguing against? Fill in the holes. They want a company that doesn't care about profit and is pro-consumer. They're literally arguing against something. They're propping up an ideal that will never happen. They're selling you a lie. They're selling you a lie. They're acting like this could happen, like a company could walk out and be not caring at all about profit and just be pro-consumer, and that's just never going to happen. That ideal will not exist. It doesn't exist. It wouldn't work. The company would fail. It would be absolute catastrophe. It'd be catastrophic if a company came out and started doing that. They'd be shut down. Well, the people in charge would probably be sued and then fired, because they'd be like, you're not honoring your fiduciary duty to your shareholders. Thank you, Mikey Bot, for 8 months. Let me add it to the total. Just want to take a moment to say thank you for your daily stream and bringing us all the news feed. Also, everyone, go buy physical games. Isn't that communism? I mean, I've been listening to lectures about, I'm halfway through like an 80 lecture series on the history of philosophy, and I just got through Hegel and then Marx, and now I'm working through, his name looks like Pierce, but I guess it's Peirce. I think his name is John Peirce. And then what's his name? John Dewey. John Dewey was like a strict pragmatist, and pragmatism heavily influenced the educational system in America. And yes, the last name Dewey is the one that you know of if you grew up in our era and there was like the Dewey Decimal System. So there's a reason that so much of American education is super like uniform and structured. It's based on a pragmatic philosophy, and that's why people are starting to learn that like not every kid learns the same way. Not every state and social structure or economic structure fits this way, and like the Fed shouldn't be in charge of all this, like, right? But it's rooted in pragmatism. So sure, you could look at some of this and say some of these ideals have their roots in what like Marx put forth and arguments about all of that, right? And we don't need to get into a big cultural debate about like capitalism versus communism, but like that's why I sense the ideology beneath it. I sense the philosophy beneath it, and I'm like, this is so bankrupt what you're telling people. That like there's some ideal future where massive corporations suddenly don't care about profit and do everything for the consumer at the loss of money, and then they're just gonna they're gonna shut down, or they'll shutter studios, or they'll shutter departments, or they'll pass on the expenses to us. And you're always free to say, no, I'm not buying that. Malice One says, I managed a division for like that for 7 years, and it was a new goal every 6 months just because of my success. The most stressful kind of work environment. It's terrible, Malice One. Alex says, that's what I said earlier. It's communism to a T. Work quotas that only go up. Performance is essentially punished. So the result is pretend to work and they pretend to pay me. Yeah, I mean, I don't know how much of that is rooted in this. I think the idea of infinite growth, the idea of infinite growth, I don't think is like I don't think that's rooted in like a Marxist philosophy or like a communist philosophy. I think infinite growth is rooted in like Western capitalism. Street Shadow gets us to 49. Thank you for renewing. A good example of this, Game Pass marketed and championed as pro-consumer, but look where Microsoft and Xbox is. Pro-consumer works when it's in a synergy and it benefits the consumers. That's such a timely point. Like, we have such good evidence right now that you can go pro-consumer to a fault. That's what my video is about. Like, the Game Pass dream is over. The Game Pass dream is over. Like, it was so pro-consumer that it became top-heavy and fell over. $10 from the OA. I just read Sony is setting up a digital currency to use on their storefront to bypass credit card fees and probably look for lower taxes. Physical is dead, unfortunately. The only thing that would be good about that digital currency is that if we can use that digital currency and then we get refunds. Because if I buy D's Nuts, Zubair gets us to 50. I owe a member to Purple and YouTube at this point. You guys each got us to a milestone. Twitch got us to 25. YouTube got us to 50. Thank you, Zubair, for 64 months. That's a lot of months. Like, it'd be great if I could go to PlayStation and buy like $200 of that currency, right? And then I use that currency to buy games, but then I should be able to then refund a game, and then you just put the currency back into my digital wallet. You don't believe the digital currency will be for us? Oh. Well, that's what I've always hoped they would do, is come up with a way to refund me on a game and just put it in the wallet, so then they don't have to pay the credit card fee on the reversal. Like, I don't expect them to shoulder the reversal fee on a credit card purchase when it's not their fault somebody made a bad game. Like, if some third-party company makes a busted, broken game, like if a bunch of people bought Crimson Desert Day 1 when it was really bad on console, it's better now, but it was really rough at launch. If a bunch of those people want to refund that game, that shouldn't come back on Sony with a bunch of fees that they're left holding the bag for. That would be undue harm, I think, is what they would probably argue. Like, that's undue harm. That's not just to do that to them. Like, if a third party developer ships a game that's going to be refunded at a pretty high degree. Yeah, Mind's Eye is an even better example. Thank you. Like, so many people would have been refunding Mind's Eye within the first hour. That shouldn't blow back on Xbox or PlayStation with reversal transactional fees. That's why I'm like, just give me store credit. I don't care. Like, I don't care. I'm going to be spending money in your store anyway. Thank you so much for the $5, the OA. I really hope so. It opens up a lot of possibilities if they don't have to eat up credit card fees on refunds. That's what's funny, is when people say I'm a corporate shill, I'm like, I've got a video on my channel and I'm an advocate for digital refunds on consoles. I've got a video on my channel saying you're fighting the wrong fight. We should be fighting for digital ownership. Being able to refund games and giving us true digital ownership are two things these corporations never want to have to deal with. It would be very costly and very bad for them. Like, the two things I'm a proponent of, a significant proponent of, would be significantly bad for these corporations. They would not want it to happen. What about the people wanting a refund for pre-ordering GTA 6? Your thoughts? I think they should have a right to that. Yeah. I think they should have a right to that. I think if you want to refund a pre-order, they should be able to do that. I believe you can do that with most of the platforms. Can you not? It was my understanding you could do that. Guys, could we get to 300 likes, please? We're super, super close. Just 20 more. Also, if you want to support the channel directly, consider doing a membership. It's $5 a month. Kilted Heathen just renewed their membership for 11 months. Thank you so much. If Sony really wants this change, shouldn't they start updating their security as well? 100%. 100%. I should not be constantly at risk of like what happened to Colin Moriarty. If he wasn't able to call in the favors that he was able to pull in or call in, that could have been catastrophic for him. That could have been absolutely devastating for him. His account would have just been gone. Like, all of his stuff, all of his games, gone. You can refund pre-orders. It's literally just a button. Yeah, that was my understanding, is you can just refund a digital pre-order. The time doesn't start until the game releases. Yeah. So Rock and Robin, if you guys, as a matter of protest, if that's what you want to do, against Sony's decision to go digital only, go right ahead. Refund your digital purchase. Yeah, if that's what you want to do. I think that's fine if you want to do that. You're well within your rights to say, yeah, I don't want that. I don't want to be funneling into the digital only evolution, because we do know that GTA 6 is a significant step in that evolution. A lot of people are going to be like, oh, it's not a disc, it's only a code. Can you believe this? Oh, well, let's go. Let's play. Like, F it, we ball. Like, they're just going to put the code in. Thank you, Chrono, for the raid. Guys, make sure and check out Chrono. He streams on a regular basis on all the platforms. If you ever get tired of looking at my mug, you can go hang out with him. He streams on Twitch, YouTube, and Twitter. One big issue with Sony refund policy is if you download the game, you can't refund it. Yeah, I don't like that. PS5 has automatic downloads once you purchase, unless there's a way to turn them off. It seems like a trap. There's two sides to that, okay? You could be right. It could be designed to be a trap. It's also designed to protect them from shenanigans. Because right now, I could pre-order a game. I could install it on my wife's PlayStation, unplug it from the wall, okay? And when I unplug it from the wall, I could then go get a refund, and I have the game right there. I could play the entire thing. Until that PlayStation's plugged back into the internet. I said unplug it from the wall. What I meant was the internet, sorry. Unplug it from the wall. I'm going to play the game in my mind. You unplug it from the internet. I could then play that game in offline mode on that PlayStation with my account, not my wife's account. I could use my account because it's my offline PlayStation. And I could play the game that I refunded. That's the issue. That, I think, I totally get the sense to be like, this is a conspiracy. You know, they want it to download automatically and then you can't refund it. I also think they're protecting themselves against shenanigans, boys. They're protecting themselves against shenanigans. They don't want you to be able to buy the game, put it on an offline console, and then play a game that you've refunded. Does that make sense? Hang on, I'm just confirming my my appointment. When is it again? This Wednesday at 4:30? Okay. I was like, wow, getting my hairs cut quicker. It feels quicker this time. Lono and Mikey bot. It doesn't have automatic downloads. There is a step where it'll ask you if you want to download it. I just did it last night with the game I bought. Maybe he's talking about when you order it from. Is this when you order it from the phone? Is that what he's talking about? I wonder if that's what he's talking about. Optimized Nordic with 32 months. Problem is, it's not only digital, but how badly the ownership laws are written for digital ownership. The real issue is not only digital. That's the real issue, not only digital. Welcome to 2026. Thank you. The more people we let know that that's the fight, the more we can get, some common ground movement here. I am not your enemy. Like, if you're pro-physical, I am not your enemy. I'm just an ally waiting for you to join the fight over here. That's all. I'm waiting for you guys to abandon that front and join us over here. That's it. I'm your ally, but I'm not wasting my energy over there. I'm like, okay, you guys go ahead. You have fun. We're over here on this beachfront. We're going to storm this castle. Seer with 28 months. Thank you so much. Bungie Remaking Borderlands, I'm so confused. It's the most ridiculous rumor ever. The only reason it's in the headlines is because I like Bungie, Destiny, and Borderlands, and I wanted to let people know that it's the most fake thing ever because it was making the rounds. That's literally the only reason I covered it. I was like, yeah, I like these guys too much not to shoot this one down. It's absolutely stupid. It doesn't make an ounce of sense. I think it was literally concocted to just tick people off. Is it like literally what it feels like to me? It's like, let's concoct the greatest leak ever to just it's literally manufactured to tick people off and to make them angry. It gives a pop-up on the phone as well to ask which console you want to download it. Knowing most people have more than one console, the online one is the primary one. Oh, so yeah, it sounds like you can just not download the game automatically. It sounds like maybe you're just doing it and not... I mean, I don't want to assume, but maybe you're not thinking. You're just clicking the buttons. Lola, do you think PlayStation should hire the id devs that were let go to run Bungie? I gotta tell you, those guys are probably not wanting to enter the market again. I mean, I'm not going to speak for them, but if I was a betting man, I would say, yeah, they're probably done. I mean, some of those guys were at id for over 20 years. Okay? So, if they started working at id when they were in their 30s or higher, that means they're in their 50s or higher. Now, if a bunch of them were at id in their early 20s and they're only in their 40s, they're like, no, I got another 10 or 20 years. Let's go. Let me go work somewhere else. A lot of them are probably like, yeah, I'm done. You know, that would really take the wind out of your sails, I think. Chrono, all digital is the future. Resistance is futile. Spoken like a true member of the Borg. Welcome to the team. Thank you, Chrono. Oh, man. PlayStation doing layoffs in closed studios. They're not in the best position to hire a group. Yeah, I remember when people were hoping that Ninja Theory got bought by them. I said that. I was like, I don't know if PlayStation's in the spending mood, you know. They just had to gut half a Bungie, and even when they bought Bungie, they took on 200-something people into SIE. They spun off the LFG studio. They've taken on a lot of operational costs from Bungie. And now they're letting some of those people go. Like, there's even people at SIE that are being let go because of the situation at Bungie. So I don't know if PlayStation's in the spending mood. You know what I mean? It's like going to Dad after he had to, pay for a plumbing problem in the home. And you're like, can I have money for the movies? And he's going to be like, what did you say? Like, do you understand what I just had to pay? Like, that's kind of the situation. PlayStation's probably not in the spending mood. Insider Gaming reported that id is working on a new Doom. Well, did you guys see the thing that id tweeted? Did anybody else notice something about the thing that id tweeted? I had a lot of people on my tweet that were really angry, and they're like, I thought you said that they were basically gutted. Okay. Let's all read this. Let's all read this with our critical thinking caps on, class. Okay? Now, do you guys happen to remember, in the days before this was posted, do you remember one of the things we kept hearing? For some strange reason, everybody kept running with the narrative that they're the same size they were when they made Doom 2016. We kept hearing that. It was very strange. It was like a rehearsed talking point. And then, lo and behold, id Software walks into the market on July the 10th. So this is 3 days ago. This is Friday. We heard that talking point all week long, and then they send this. Thank you all for the support this week. While our studio was impacted, those changes were spread across teams. We still have the crew we need to build the games and tech we're known for. The team today is about the same size we were when making Doom 2016. That's interesting. I wonder why they're saying that. We have always had a flat studio where everyone is a maker, and we will remain true to that philosophy moving forward. We are focused on supporting each other and the team members impacted, We're going to keep building the great games and tech that have defined us for the past 35 years, and we're looking forward to seeing you at QuakeCon this August. It's really weird that there's a literal talking point in there that we were hearing in all the days leading up to this. Almost as if somebody said, hey, you get out there and you let people know that you're okay, because this looks really bad. Oh, and I've got one more development to talk to you guys about with id Software. Remember when I said that out of nowhere, we were being told to calm down and that this situation was being exaggerated? And do you remember why? We were told there's a team in Frankfurt. There's an id Software team in Frankfurt that works with the engine. The ID Tech engine's fine. Would you like to take a guess at how big that team is? Would you like to? Barely more than a soccer team. 12 people. And they've been downsized to 6. I want you to really think about what transpired last week. We were told this had been blown out of proportion. This had been exaggerated. Why? Because 12 people in Frankfurt were apparently going to save the day, and now that 12-person team is down to 6. But we were told by outlets and spin doctors and pundits that everything was fine with id Software because id Software in Frankfurt was still working with the engine. 12 people? Really? You laid off 76% of your staff, and those 12 people, a support studio, mind you, they're going to save the day? And now they're down to 6. This is so, it's so manipulative, it's so misleading, and now you make id Software walk out and trumpet your talking points that your little minions were spreading all week long. Well, they're the same size as when they shipped Doom, and then they walk out and say the same thing? If it doesn't set off any alarm bells in your brain, then I think you're in a coma. You're in a coma if that thing that id Software put out there doesn't set off alarm bells as total PR. Like, what? Why are you coming out and saying this all of a sudden? And why are you saying the same thing that people were saying all week in defense of you being shrunk? What company does that? Like, yeah, I know we were laid off and we lost 76% of our beloved legacy veteran team members, but we're the same size we were when we made Doom. Does that really honor the people that was laid off? Does that sound like something somebody would type working at a company and they just watch 76% of their colleagues walk to the door? Is that something that you're going to type? No, absolutely not. There's nothing in it that's heartfelt about the people that were laid off. There's nothing in it that's about, like, our heart goes out to the people that had to leave and we lost valuable team members. It's, we're about the same size as when we shipped Doom 2016, which is some empty, stupid talking point we kept hearing all week long. I trust the people that were laid off more than some corporate approved piece of nonsense that hit the feeds, especially in the wake of being told we all needed to calm down because id Software Frankfurt was going to save the day. All 12 of them, and now it's all 6 of them. But what happened? What happened? Headcanon manipulation happened. They go out into the public and they manipulate everybody's headcanon to be like, id Software is fine. They have Frankfurt. id Software is fine. They're about the size they were when they shipped Doom 2016. And in walks the id Software Twitter account to be like, yeah, we're about the same size as we were when we shipped Doom 2016. What the frick? I've never seen a company talk like that in the wake of layoffs. I've never seen it. It literally is what they kept spouting all week long, because I firmly believe people are given talking points in the background. I truly believe it. What else is they supposed to say? You're supposed to say what everybody else says. These are trying times. Our heart goes out to the people that missed. We'll talk about the future soon when the time is right. Not that. What the frick is that? The thing that they put out there it's like that doesn't even sound like people from the company. You're at the company all that time and you watch 20-year veterans walk away and you're like, you're going to go out and calm the public down? Who does that? Have you ever seen a company do that? Be like, it's okay. It's okay. We're still big enough to do stuff. We still have enough people. That doesn't even make any sense. I've never seen a company do that before. They're more worried about calming down the public than being like, yeah, we lost really valuable team members. These are trying times. We'll talk about our future when the time is right. And then that's typically all they say. Not, we're about the size as we were when we shipped Doom 2016, which just so happens to be a fanboy talking point we heard ad nauseum throughout the whole week. You don't think that that's weird? During the same week, we were told to calm down because a 12-person team in Frankfurt was going to save the day. That 12-person team is now 6. It's unbelievable that they pulled this off and that people go along with it. It's unbelievable. Angry Pete with 58 months. We're 20 away from 75. It'd be the first 20 bomb of the week. We'll see if anybody takes the bait. Thank you, Angry Pete. Another week of news and chat. Hope you had a great weekend, Lono. Thank you. What do you have there, Omar? Hang on. I got to open it over here because your screenshot's like really small and I don't want to click because my windows are all perfect. Doom 2016 had a notoriously troubled, fragmented development cycle spanning roughly 8 to 9 years. Do you see who in their right mind working at id Software would watch 76% of the staff walk out the door and type that? It was 8 to 9 years of troubled development, and they're going to be like, we're about the same size as we were back then. Nobody's typing that. Nobody's typing that. That was done. I'm putting money on the table. Somebody from Xbox said, you need to put this out there. You need to put this out there. Because they look like absolute morons for what they did. Everybody with any weight, any salt, any integrity at all is absolutely threshing Xbox for what they did to id. It's been the biggest PR hit of the week. I mean it. The biggest PR hit of the layoffs was id because people are like, wait, what? id? Are you insane? With them? What? Because I'm telling you, Xbox doesn't know what they're doing. They don't. The leadership has no method of assessing talent or creativity. They let legacy industry foundational pillars walk out the door because they don't care. They're not setting these studios up to flourish. That post from id Software is the biggest piece of PR nonsense I have ever seen. Nobody watches 20-year veterans walk away from their company and type something like that. It's a lie. What do you mean it's a lie? They're speaking in cold facts. There's no emotion in it at all. Nobody would do that. You watch people that have been in the company for 20 years get walked to the door, and that's what you're going to send out into the public? Everybody calm down. We're about the size as when we shipped Doom that was notoriously troubled and took 8 to 9 years to develop. No, that's what I'm saying is nobody at the company would have penned that and been like, yeah, this is our feeling on it, is that everything's going to be fine. We're basically the same size as we were back then. It's corporate spin, it's PR, and it's just coincidentally what people kept saying all week long. Don't you think it's interesting that a bunch of Xbox fans magically knew that id Software had been taken down to the size that they were when they built Doom 2016? You just think a bunch of random Xbox fans randomly had that stat off the top of their head? Do you honestly think that? No. They were given that talking point to go out there and run defense. And when it didn't do enough, they made id Software say it. I believe it in my bones. And it's not signed by anybody. There's no signature here. Nobody's putting their name on this. Would you want to put your name on this? Would you want to put your name on this? Like, 76% of id walks out the door. People with over 20 years are walking out the door, and you pen this crap and shovel it out there? I wouldn't have put my name on that. You'd have to threaten me with being fired. I mean, look at the tweet. A message from id. This is screaming loud. We were told to send this. It's a message from id. It doesn't even say a message from id Software. It doesn't say a message from id Software in the team, or our heart goes out to the people that are laid off. Like, just read it. It's ridiculous. I had people jumping on that tweet, and they're like, yeah, and you were saying all this bad stuff. And I'm like, sucker, 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 gullible, 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 gullible. Like, you guys are all gullible suckers, man. You think that id sent this? This is PR. This is Defense Force. That's all it is. You think you think they just magically decided to say all that? While they're getting wailed on, Microsoft and Xbox are getting wailed on the whole week over id. And then that's what they post? All companies try to frame business restructuring in a positive light. I don't see anything different here. I'll tell you the glorious difference, Tommy. Id isn't the one that did it. So why do you think they're trying to make it seem positive? Why do you think they're citing a talking point that fanboys were reciting ad nauseum all last week? Because it came from Microsoft. Just like the talking points we heard all last week, I believe they came from Microsoft. I'm telling you, they are the kings of astroturfing. I'm telling you, they do it. They do it. You don't need any more proof than that. It's insane to me to think that, like, random people on Twitter and random people in my YouTube chat all last week, they kept saying that literal phrase. They're the same size they were when they shipped Doom 2016. They're the same size they were when they shipped Doom 2016. Over and over and over again, people say it. And then that exact phrase verbatim shows up in that tweet. You are a sucker if you think that was something that the people at id Software came up with. It's Microsoft PR. It was Microsoft PR when people were saying on Twitter and in my chat, and it's PR in that dadgum statement. It's gross that they even made id Software go out and frickin' say it. It's gross. You watch all those veterans leave, and then you have the nerve to be like, we have to make this look okay, and like it's not a problem. So, quick, write articles. It's been exaggerated, and we have people in Frankfurt. Well, that isn't going to work because there's only 12 people in Frankfurt, and 6 of them got laid off. Unless you think those 6 people are the equivalent of developer supermen. Did we? Okay, there we go. Okay. Refresh. We are back. I had to switch to legacy ingest servers. The primary YouTube ingest servers are having a problem right now. I use the primary YouTube and then the backup primary, and both I couldn't get a connection to. So I had to use the legacy ingest servers. So, sorry about that. That's on YouTube's end. They must be doing some kind of maintenance with their ingest servers. It is interesting that always happens when I'm on some kind of a rant like that. It always makes me a little interested. Like, that's weird, isn't it? That's just kind of weird. You know what I mean? Like, it's never when we're just sitting here calmly talking and having a conversation. It always happens when I'm like, you know, just going in on a company, like somebody somewhere. It always makes me feel a little conspiratorial. It's like, what are y'all doing out there? Be fair, you're usually on a rant. I mean, mathematically, yeah, I guess the odds are in favor of me being mid-rant. This is true. So. Oh, man. You're always in rant, you rage quitter. That's right. Guys, here's the thing. That kind of a disconnection and reconnection thing really, really hurts us. So do me a favor. Can you guys go crazy on the like button? And maybe let's start a little member train. Make sure your member renewals are up to date. Maybe gift, do any of those things. While that's happening, I'm going to take the quickest of breaks because we're already taking a viewership hit from that anyways. So do all the things to kind of like jumpstart the stream. Let's try to get to 400 likes in the time that I'm gone. So everybody right now, if you haven't hit the like button, hit the like button. I'll be right back. Myself. I was like, why is it so narrow over here? Because those computers don't move, babe. Like, they hurt. I've hit my knee on them. My wife moved one of the couches, and like, I went to walk through a space that I walk through every day, and I was like, whoa, it was like super narrow because I wasn't looking. You just kind of do things almost out of muscle memory. And there's a computer tower right there, and the metal corner, I busted my knee on it before. And I was like, babe, why'd you move the couch? And she's like, oh, we were moving some stuff. And I was like, I could barely fit. Top reply with a Prime sub. Thank you, sir.
All I have to do is move something to take you out.
That's right.
So,
I've talked about this, Mama. You could kill me very easily. Wouldn't be hard. Okay. Anyway. Notice there's no lag when he's gone. Microsoft accomplished their special operation. Yeah, make sure you guys are still going crazy on the like count. Yeah, we were only 2.5 hours in. That really, really hurts when that happens. I don't know what was going on with the servers, but the show must go on. So, yeah, the court case with Xbox was one of the stories. The PlayStation selling of stocks was another one, and then there was the ridiculous rumor that like Bungie is going to remake Borderlands 1 into like a live service game. I mean, if Lono can barely fit, it must be a pretty tight space. Yeah, I'm not very big. I'm not very big. My kiddos tease me about being, big, but it's, all in jest. Madam's trying to kill physical Lono. It'll be an all digital Lono future going forward. Yes, indeed. Are there game releases this week? I do have an unboxing video I'm hoping to share with you guys very soon. I uploaded it so, Creature could do a little, intro, outro on it, because I had to use my phone and, the portable microphones. It's called Shards of Order, so I'm hoping to have that for you guys, and then I'm hoping to do a play session with it for you guys as well at some point this week. They sent a really, really cool care package, collector's edition. What am I doing here? What? There we go. There we go. I'd have been better off just looking in front of me instead of looking at the camera. So they sent me a really, really cool care package. Well, no, I'm sorry. It's a collector's edition. It's from the same publishers that made Tainted Grail. So really cool that they sent that. That's why that's back there. I added it to the scenery. And hoping to get that installed and play that for you guys at some point, maybe this week, and then have that unboxing video as well. So I found a super old pic of me and you. You did? You probably at mom and dad's house, right? Lono sucks up all the bitrate in his speeches. That's why the stream is crystal clear when he's gone. That's right. I do. Madam always teases me about that. She's if I take a big breath of air, she's like, you're sucking all the air out of the room. Man, oh man. Was it a Fisher Price couch? No, what's funny is that we've actually had these couches since we got married, so they're 19 years old. They're still in pretty good shape though. I'll send it via Discord. You can decide if it's good enough to share. Okay. What's good, Big Punk? Big Punk. Got here late, so I missed most of the show. No problem. We're kind of at that stage of the show where you guys can start to bring up your own things that you might want to talk about. We've kind of gone full circle on all of the titles. Sadly, I don't know if you guys saw it. Sam Neill passed away. That's devastating. Only 78 years old. And also, the first movie I ever saw in a theater, I saw it with my brothers and my dad, was Jurassic Park. So that was kind of sad news to see this morning. He had been creating all that heartwarming content with his farm and stuff. Doom's PS5 DLC quietly becomes one of 2026 best rated releases on OpenCritic. Let's take a look at this. Games, all platforms, time frame this year. Yeah, there it sits. That's just so devastating to be in the top 10 on OpenCritic. Mean of the Hollower is another one in my backlog I need to get to. But for Doom the Dark Ages Revelations to be sitting up there with the likes of Resident Evil 9, Pokemon Pokopia, Forza Mina, Dave the Diver's DLC, just absolutely devastating to see them do so well. And to just, I don't know, it's frustrating. And then we're also seeing this. I haven't had a chance to really break this down. I may end up covering this or doing a YouTube video about it. Mr. Rebs is an insider for Halo over the years, and he is saying that he's alleging that Pierre Hintz is repeatedly referred to HR for his behavior towards staff. Apparently, there's been a lot of abuse at the company, verbal abuse. I remember that theater experience because. As kids seeing JP for the first time, I was exhausted. I was like, surely they can't get attacked by dinos again. What the? I remember I needed a break. I literally left after the T-Rex scene to go to the bathroom because I was it was too much. It was it was overwhelming because I had never been, you might have been because you were older, Derek. I had never been to the theater. It was literally my first experience in the theater. So it's rumbling and it's loud and it's this huge screen. It was intense. Jurassic Park was your first also. It was intense. I mean, it's the right movie to make it your first movie in the theater. I mean, it was wild. Digital Foundry is reporting that Steam machines are overheating. Valve confirms a warning. The warning is showing too early. There's a BIOS fix coming. Oh, so the warning's just happening too early. Okay. So it looks like Digital Foundry covered it as well. They said Doom the Dark Ages Excellent Revelations DLC, id layoffs, damage control, COD Black Ops on PS5 and more. How old is this video? 42 minutes ago. Doom the Dark Ages, Don't Kill the Disc, Black Ops, retrospective. So they have it all grouped in the same section. Okay. The title made it seem like there was literally going to be a section about the damage control, which I was interested in what John Linneman specifically thought about that, because he's not been very happy with what happened at id. I mean, I guess I could see if the little where, let me ask, where do they discuss the layoff damage control? See if we can't get a timestamp here. The team discusses the id and the subsequent damage control from Microsoft in the studio itself, starting at 11:18 through and continuing through the segment. The extent of the cuts, Microsoft's response, id's statement. Okay, so we've got 2 minutes here. I actually want to watch this. I'm actually really, really curious what they say. Okay, so it starts at 11:18. Let me unmute. I don't typically watch content when it's this fresh, so we're not going to watch the whole thing. But I really, really want to see what Digital Foundry has to say about this.
We had our Q&A show the other day where we talked primarily about the Microsoft closures and layoffs and stuff like that. The story has progressed. We now have some idea of the amount of cuts that were made to id Software. 96 layoffs happened directly at the id Software office in Richardson, Texas, and an additional 40 remote staff were let go simultaneously, and comments that have emerged from ex-staff members are pretty damning, certainly shocking. It's hard to understand or accept what Microsoft has done here. It does really look as though what's happening over there is pretty shocking. Now we have this comment from Microsoft, because obviously, you know, the core engine team, the programmers, have gone, basically. And essentially there's one key person left. We have this comment that Kotaku got from Microsoft, suggesting that the concept that there's one person left running on id Tech is false. There are dozens of people working on id Tech across multiple locations. A spokesman for Xbox confirmed. Reports that there's only one person left in Texas are inaccurate. This was followed up by a tweet from id itself, however. Thank you for all the support this week. While our studio was impacted, those changes were spread across teams. We still have the crew we need to build the games and tech we're known for. The team today is about the same size we were when making Doom 2016. We have always had a flat studio where everyone is a maker, and we will remain true to that philosophy going forward. I just want to interject here to say that id's next game is going to have to focus on the next generation consoles, right? The complexity in developing games has certainly moved on a hell of a lot since Doom 2016. So this rationalization of the impact id Software really isn't as reassuring as I think it's supposed to sound. Anyway, just going back to the statement, we are focused on supporting each other and the team members impacted. We're going to keep building the great games and tech that have defined us for the past 35 years, and we're looking forward to seeing you at QuakeCon this August.
I'm actually curious if John or Richard or anybody sees what I see here. Like, that this is ridiculous, that this is not something that feels heartfelt from id. This feels like something they were told to put out there for damage control. That's what this feels like, because this doesn't feel heartfelt, like somebody from the team wrote this after watching so many people, 136 people, walk out the door, and you write this. It happened again. What the frick is going on with YouTube today, bro? Like, every time we get on this subject, this is going to happen? Like, come on, man. What is going on? I don't understand. We keep getting our ingest connection gutted. And no, yeah. I can't. I'm like 100% throttled trying to connect to YouTube. I literally can't do it. It's not my upload. It's not my internet. No. We're being throttled in some way. I cannot get a good connection to the YouTube ingest servers. It's impossible. I've tried all 4 of them. There's nothing I can do, boys. I'm stuck. I can't fix it because that's usually how I fix it. I can't do anything when this happens. Typically, the solution is just to switch to a different ingest server. I'm throttled at every server. It's like I'm being blocked from streaming or something. I don't know what to tell y'all. I really don't. We're gonna have to just switch to Twitch only today. I don't have a choice. I'm literally throttled on all 4 servers. Like, this seems very sus and very weird. Like, we were fine until we got back on this subject, and then all of a sudden I'm throttled on all 4 ingest servers. I have a perfectly fine connection to down report YouTube. Is there a spike for YouTube down report right now? No. I have never seen this happen. I have streamed for 11 years. I've never seen this happen. Never. Like, I cannot get a good connection to YouTube. I can't do it. I can watch VODs no problem on YouTube right now. Is anybody else streaming on YouTube having this issue? Mike streaming. Is he having an issue?
No one wants that feeling.
No, he's not. I don't understand. It's just me. I don't know if anybody else is live. There's no way to know. It's buffering like a Mad Lab. That's what I mean. I don't have any control over it. I'm being 100% like I'm being 100% like bottlenecked. Like, I cannot get a good connection to YouTube. This doesn't make an ounce of sense. Like, just me, all of a sudden, nobody else. I cannot get a good connection to any of the ingest servers. That doesn't make an ounce of sense. Try your other internet connection. That'll disconnect Twitch. I don't want to do that. I'm currently running a channel skin right now over there. We're running an ad for the next 28 minutes. No, it's 100% shenanigans. It's shenanigans. I can watch my bitrate and see it as soon as I start. Right? As soon as I start, it spikes up and it immediately gets slapped back down. It's like I'm literally being throttled by YouTube. We're just gonna have to finish up on Twitch. Like, I literally have tried every. I don't think there's any down reports, are there? No, there's not a surge of YouTube down reports for YouTube Live. This is specific to me. No, the weather's fine. We're on purple, just fine. I'm streaming to purple right now without a single problem. You guys are just going to have to use the Twitch command. I'm just going to have to call it. I don't know what the problem is. I truly do not know. I do not know what happened. I don't. It's super bizarre. I've been streaming for 11 years. I've never seen this happen before in my life. So other people are streaming just fine on YouTube right now. And it's like, we got hit, I switched, we got hit, I got switched, we were fine. As soon as we got back on that subject, we got hit again. I don't know. I'm not trying to be conspiracy theory, but it just seems very bizarre. It's showing slow. What's showing slow? The outage reports for YouTube? I'm not seeing anybody reporting. There's people reporting, that it's slow, but... Okay, wait. I think we might have gotten it. Okay. I think we got it. We'll see if this lasts. Okay? Okay. Why the... There, refresh. I was like, why the frick won't it stay in the chat box? No music, by the way. I know I turned the music off because we were reacting to the Digital Foundry video. Okay. Everyone refresh. I've got a good connection now. I have a good connection. So freaking weird. So weird. All right. We're going to continue with our segment.
Okay, John. So these statements on the surface level are correct, but at the same time, it does seem to be sort of like trying to brush off the extent of what's actually happened here, right?
Yeah, it really does. And I mean, we don't yet know the fate of the people here in Germany. There is a large tech office here, not that large, but there's people doing work here. I guess presumably Machine Games is still using it. That could count towards it. So what they're saying isn't necessarily false. It's just, it's just the amount of knowledge that would have been lost in this, and just the changes that are going to come to it. It's really, it's staggering. I really don't like what's happened here. And it does feel like, in a way, they were probably caught in a bad spot, right? Because they're essentially between projects, and that's always like the most delicate time for any studio. And as I understand, like, I don't like, people were saying, oh, Doom the Dark Ages was like a failure, etc. I don't think it was. Like, the actual sales figure you always see going around relates to like the first week, but when you actually dig deeper, you realize like this thing's seemingly sold like 1 million at least just on Steam. And that doesn't include the other platforms. Like, it does seem like it's done fairly well, maybe not as well as it liked, but like, I don't think it's just like the performance of this game that resulted in these cuts, is what I'm saying. I think it's a lot of it is just timing and various other factors. There's been, talk about, pushback against things like the union that they founded, people not liking that. It's really hard to say. It's all still kind of like rumors, information, flittering about, but either way, the results are what they are, I would say. It's just...
Like, I don't expect John to get as, animated and inflammatory as me. Like, I don't expect that. But you can definitely sense Richard Ledbetter, as well as John, sort of feeling like this response from id is weird. Even, you can just tell by the way they're talking about it. Like, this is freaking weird. Like, you guys are running Defense Force for layoffs. Like, that's just not something that you typically see. You usually see a very sort of like heartfelt message to the people that were let go, and then like we're gonna do what we can, to make our future bright, and and we'll talk about this more, in the future and what have you. But come on.
Whew. I also feel like, man, it's just one of the things that always, on the sales side, it really sucks that right before this game released, Microsoft was like, oh yeah, we're going to increase the price of all of our first-party games. And I think Doom was one of the first ones affected by that. And I do sometimes wonder if like this sudden jump in price combined with things like the required ray tracing hurt the game's success on the PC especially. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Like, we think the ray tracing is good, it's fast, it's performant, but it's true that it does have kind of a bad reputation amongst a lot of people. And I was annoyed by that for a while, but like, given what's happening with the component crisis and the cost of goods, like, I understand why people would be more concerned over getting more out of their PC hardware, even though most GPUs from the last 8 years can run it just fine. Including the Steam Deck, for that matter.
Well, that's the point. Right? If it can run well on Steam Deck or well enough on Steam Deck, then it will basically run on anything.
Exactly.
But you do need to have DirectX 12 Ultimate capabilities. But that does basically mean your AMD.
I never even considered that maybe the game had, took a bit of a PR hit because it was one of the games around the time that, Microsoft tried to walk out a price increase. Like, they didn't sell it for that much, right? But didn't they, from what John is saying, did they try to walk Doom the Dark Ages out for 80? Like, was that one that was like quietly reverted? I honestly don't remember that. But if that's true, then that would have played another role in really hurting the game's reception and potential sales. And maybe what they're saying about PC is also playing a role as well.
GPU has got to be at least 6 years old, and your NVIDIA 8 years old. And I mean, I'm still thinking that they made the right decision there. The question is whether there was some kind of fallback that they could have done that didn't require hardware RT. That maybe it wouldn't have looked great, maybe it wouldn't have hit id Software's quality level, but it would have headed off the conversation, I think, on that particular regard.
It makes me think of like when people managed to get Doom 3 running on like a Voodoo 2, right? Like it technically worked, but so
the thing is, I think the thing is that people kind of celebrate the wins of something running on older hardware.
They do,
even if actually it looks bad.
Actually, the better example would be like Halo. When Halo came to the PC, they actually offered an alternative fixed function pipeline option for PCs that didn't support pixel shaders, which was a lot of them at the time. And fundamentally, I think it destroyed the visual design of Halo. It looked ugly, right? Because the game's graphics were built with pixel shaders in mind from the beginning. So taking that away ruined it, but it was an official option, and it did allow the game to be playable. With something like Doom, though, with the way how everything's like lit with real lights like that, I don't know. Playing like a full bright or like weird looking version of the game, I mean, maybe it would have been interesting as like a weird option fallback for those specific GPUs, but I don't know.
I'm just I'm just going to go back to my thoughts on this whole id Software situation and Microsoft here. It is a massive own goal for Microsoft. There's no doubt about it. And the commercial aspects of whether Doom: The Dark Ages was a success or not, I think, are broadly irrelevant compared to the implications of what Microsoft's done here. So, just bear with me here, because let's face it, we're going into a new console generation next year, right? Where there are big question marks over the extent to whether we should have this console generation at that time at all, right? And where practically every game is going to be coming out on Xbox Series X and PlayStation 5. Well, maybe not PlayStation 5, but Xbox Series X and PC anyway, right? And what Microsoft and Sony needs to do is present a case to the audience that says, this is our new hardware, it's amazing, we've got some great stuff to show you. And there is one team that just consistently delivers on the technological side time and time and time again while producing great games. And that's, guess what? It's software. And so the concept of...
Yeah, that's the darkest part about this. Like, the darkest part about this is that, like, they're literally the guys that can do, like, the show off. They can show off the tech. They can really do, especially going into the next gen. Like, if you're wanting them to lean in and do stuff with PlayStation or with PC, either one, like, these are the guys that could have done that and really garnered good respect and more prowess within the development world and the publishing arm of Microsoft. Like, just like I said, PlayStation was short-sighted for getting rid of Bluepoint. I think Bluepoint could have done good things into the future with remakes, especially going into next gen. I think Bluepoint was worth holding on to. I think this studio is worth keeping totally intact, as much as possible.
Having a challenge ahead of you in justifying a new generation. Well, what you don't do is get rid of all of the people that can actually deliver on the vision of what that hardware can deliver, right? That's the thing. I just think it's astonishing what they've done here. Then, of course, there just seems to have been a blatant disregard for the legacy of this studio. right? Go back to the origins of DirectX. Why did it happen in the first place? The reason why, because games like Doom and Quake were coming along that pushed PC hardware in new directions, right? Quake, Windows 95, I remember it well. So basically we've got this lineage of technological innovation that goes all the way back to the origins of id Software, and obviously the personnel have completely changed, but the spirit of innovation, the spirit of pushing technology as far as it will go, has continued with the current team.
Yeah, I would say, Rich, to that end, one of their main guys has been Thiago Souza, right? And he was like the guy at Crytek that made Crysis, the Cry engine, along with the team, of course. But he was one of the key people that developed that. He is basically the new generation of a John Carmack type person, just an absolute brilliant mind, and everybody working around him. They really had some of the best programmers in the industry. And the reason I would say this, these guys, the types of guys that want to make their own engine, that have that capability, they are the ones that are attracted to places like this, as far as a job is concerned, right? They don't want to go to a studio that's running Unreal Engine. They have no desire to do that. So if you're doing your own engine like this, you attract the best talent, the people that are most capable of this, and that's what they did here.
Yeah. So,
Yeah, I don't want to watch the full segment. I'll give you guys a link to the video, because this is an hour and a half long video, and we're only halfway through them talking about Doom. So I want to give you guys an opportunity to support the original video. So I will put a link in chat for you. So let me get the music going again. So support that. We'll put a link below. Yeah. So just an enormous bummer all around. That's kind of how things have ended up, and that they are literally a studio that brings a lot of pedigree and a lot of good to the table. And it really does suck that it's being spun into it's okay, and then we also now have all these headlines and videos oh, id's working on a new Doom. And it's what? No, yeah, they're working on a new Doom with a teeny fraction of what they once were, and I don't know. The whole thing just reeks. It just reeks, and I don't like it. So, yeah. Didn't Quake also support Voodoo graphics cards? Man, you're going way, way back in the day. So... on the price stuff for Doom, they said all their first-party games going forward were going to be $80. I wonder how heavily they were. I wonder how heavily they were even marketing Doom at that point, though. Was Doom collateral damage on that price increase? Right? I was a little distracted. Sorry. I got an email that I wanted to reply to instantly. I don't like doing that during a stream, but I had to. It was kind of a pressing thing. I don't know. I could see there being collateral damage there. Doom was really, really in the headlines for a lot of stupid stuff back then, too. People were, claiming that, it went woke and it went soft because they added accessibility features. And I'm I just don't think that's, fundamentally why the the game ended up where it did. I think maybe you could say they kind of got attacked from all sides. There might have been some optics damage from the public hearing about the price increases. So, you could have had a situation where people were saying, hey, like, I'm not buying that. They're raising their prices. But, I mean, it didn't come out at 80, so I don't know how much that would have affected it. That would be probably pretty overstated. The only ones they mentioned was COD and Outer Worlds 2, but they did say all their major releases. Yeah, I don't know how much that price... I don't know. I just don't know how much the price situation would have caused damage to it. I really, really don't. Yeah, the Brazilian case is getting some traction. Windows Central picked up the story. So that's good. More and more people should be talking about that. It's really, really good. It's a really, really good case study in the situation of digital ownership. It could be good. Sony is staring down a $457 million lawsuit as deletion decision lingers. Is this the one about a couple of weeks ago, Sony stood up and announced it was doing this? Okay, the lawsuit, which stitching Massage and the Consummate invites all streamers, states clearly you're paying too much for PlayStation games. It's worth pointing out that the lawsuit was kicked off in earnest last year. They summoned Sony to appear in court in the Netherlands. This drew a comment from Sony and has been developing a situation since. But since Sony's been regarding physical games, it's only exacerbated the situation. Yeah, see, I don't know if that's... I think that might be the case that's going to struggle, because that's the one that's like, oh, they're doing a 30% scrape, and because they do a 30% scrape, they're charging you too much money. And I'm like... but everybody does a 30% scrape. That has nothing to do with the prices that we spend on games. I feel like that case, if that's the one I'm thinking of, I don't feel like that case is going to go anywhere. I also don't think it's really connected to the physical or the digital situation, because the digital situation, if they allow retailers, to dictate pricing or not, I think that's going to be another factor as well. Guys, we went through a bunch of blips there and problems. I don't know what the heck's going on. In all the years of my streaming, I've never had that happen. I don't know if like every single ingest server was having trouble at the exact same time. Seems unlikely, seems a little strange, but we are back up and running. Do me a favor, if you haven't hit the like button yet, go ahead and smack that like button. Try and get us to 400 likes. That does help out. And I know some of you came over and started watching on Twitch. I appreciate you doing that. That honestly helps out anyway, because we are running a channel skin over there, and that does help me out. New footage and animations from a canceled Doom 4 surface online. I wonder why that's happening. What's good, Feed? I see you in the chat. EA seems to have killed off the Need for Speed franchise. So, I mean, the frustration I have with Doom and the situation, going on there, is that people are just looking for something to blame, other than the fact that, like, it's just another studio that was set up to have their game not be commercially potent, if that makes sense. Did you count my single for Raven, or did I miss it? When did you do that? No, I'll add it. I didn't see that. All right, we're at 57. Thank you so much. We really, really fell on sub points over there on Twitch as well. We're below 1,000 sub points, so make sure you guys have your primes active. Make sure you have your gifts going and all of that. What now? Hold up. I really hope not. Oh, this EA seems to have killed off the Need for Speed franchise. Yeah, I just was reading the headline there. I mean, we could click on the tweet. I don't know what this is about. My Nintendo News is saying Need for Speed's a well-known successful video game. Here's a quote from Okay, Criterion, who have been the stalwarts of the series, have now been moved to other duties at EA and are now a Battlefield support team. Quote, when asked whether the studio's 30th anniversary might present an opportunity to celebrate a new Need for Speed project, this guy flatly replied, "We are not here to talk about the past. We are solely focused on Battlefield." Her comments effectively confirm that Criterion will now devote its full attention to EA's flagship first-person shooter series. So, what the heck? So they... Speaking to IGN, Rebecca Kutaz, vice president and general manager of Battlefield Studios, offered little hope for the franchise's revival. That's kind of crazy. That's kind of crazy that they just moved him to a support studio. I'm telling you, that's one of my biggest concerns about a lot of the studios that are kind of like left in the wreckage of what Xbox is doing. You're just going to have a whole lot of potentially support studios, and then like that's all they're. I guess that's all they're going to do. That's all they're going to be. I don't know. One of the games I can point to that I have a disc for is Overwatch. I can put the disc in, and it boots up Overwatch 2. Disc isn't ownership either, at least for, like, Overwatch. Well, I mean, games like that aren't the greatest examples because it is a live service game, so, like, what exactly are you going to do? You know? Oh, so this is the image... Yeah, this is the image that my brother sent me. This is us looking pretty. This is us looking pretty gangster from back in the day. That's me with the glasses, obviously. And my Charlotte Hornets t-shirt. I think that's a Charlotte Hornets. I'm sorry, not t-shirt, hat. I think that's a Charlotte Hornets hat with a Tasmanian devil on it, maybe? I'm not quite sure. That is an amazing image. That is fabulous. We were looking pretty tough. We were looking pretty awesome there. Now that's a thumbnail. Yeah, there you go. Okay, 10 minutes. The youngin', that's right. A little lackbeard. Bro's low-key mogging you in that pic, I can't lie. I was not the good-looking one in the group. My older brother and my younger brother were both better looking than I was. So that's not really a contest I ever would have tried to win. You know. Yeah, I'd whoop them in some GoldenEye. But not in that department. Not in that department. A paper picture, not digital. You have ownership of that paper picture. That's right, I do. Pimptastical, 51 months. Thank you so much. Let me add it to the total. That's not fair. I was older than him, and when you're kids, it matters way more. Yeah, I mean, that's never been my strong suit. I've always been the talker. I've always been the salesman. I've always been the charmer. You know, that's always been my skill set. Dirt says, my buddy who streams is in pretty constant contact with some people who were on the Need for Speed team. That team was a very, very small team, and they basically had zero plans because Unbound did not do well at all. There is supposedly a small chance of another game, but that chance is lower than a full percentage. It's basically over. Yeah, I mean, if they've been turned into a support studio, I think it's extremely difficult to get out of the role of support studio, like, once it happens to you, because you basically become a line item on a different project, and you're not really seen as, like, talent to be leveraged on a new project. Does that make sense? When I make it down to do a show, we could do a funny old pic for the thumb. I don't know if I want to put that on a YouTube thumbnail. I don't like that. That's kind of, I mean, showing it in a stream is you know, pretty extreme as it is. Khaled with 55 months and a member plus. Thank you so much. Been listening and lurking since 2020. Now you're inseparable from my daily routine. Thank you for all the love and efforts you show us. I appreciate that, Khaled. Thank you very, very much. I don't mean that one. Any picture of us in general. I don't know. Like, I like the world's a weird place, you know? The world is a weird place. So, like, it just, the fact that I'm a public person and can, you know, be treated in certain ways simply because of that is always a little like, you know, is it worth it? Like, I tell my kids all the time, my kids are like, if they want to get into content creation, that's a decision they'll make when they're in their 20s, not when they're a teenager and coveting the attention of the world that they don't quite grasp what it can do. I have a picture of Atticus, our cat. It's a panoramic picture. And in the picture, I can see your blue car through the curtains out in front. I think I can see the front of the van as well. And then there's pictures on the desk of like our grandparents and like us as a family. And it's just kind of weird that it's like it's so many things captured in a moment where we were just taking a picture of the cat. So you rolled credits on mixtape. You highly recommend the game. People seem to really like it. It seemed like it was a pretty big nostalgia trip. So, yeah. I actually enjoy Need for Speed, says KY2K. It's the only racing game I can think of where there's actual consequences for speeding. Oh, that's what I was going to check a little bit ago before we entered into all of the frustration with the ingest servers. Let's see. Okay, so this week, there's a DLC for the altars today. Oh, Hell Clock is tomorrow. I've been wanting to try that one out. Dench Attack is this week. They offered me a code and then never got back to me, so I'm not going to be able to do any like preliminary review footage or early access or anything. If they were going to offer me a release day code, that's great, but that's not what I thought it was about. So we'll see. And then next week is Splatoon Raiders. So yeah, this week there's a handful of things coming out. So, yeah. But nothing major this week. Some smaller things going on. Alters DLC, Hell Clock, and then Dench Attack, which is like the Sunset Overdrive game, but you're like a bus. Hell Clock came out last week. They pushed it out a week early. Wait, are you serious? On console? They pushed it out a whole week early? I didn't even catch that. Oh yeah, it's available right now. It has a 4.65 on PlayStation. That's a pretty good score. It doesn't have a lot of scores, but it's got that. Yeah, you liked the Altars? The Altars is like a rainy day game in my backlog. Like, I'm going to have to be in like the right mood to play it. But I really, really liked it when I played it on stream. I thought it was very, very cool. So I thought it was very, very cool. But it was like there were other games I was playing at the time, so it just got rotated out almost immediately. I didn't continue. And it's definitely a game that if you don't continue with, you're going to want to basically like start over. You can't like pick it up like a month later and be like, all right, I'm going to pick up where I left off here. Like, it's not that kind of game. So Madam and I are really enjoying Astral Ascent. She's got some things coming up where she'll have to be, working on stuff in the evenings. So I'll get a better chance to work through my games and my backlog. My afternoons have been a little tight lately. I haven't had an opportunity to do a lot of gaming in the afternoon like I typically do. If you guys haven't hit the like button on YouTube yet, try to get me to 400 likes. We had a lot of blips and problems today. It was very strange. Hidden One's asking, why do Chinese Steam reviewers tend to leave more negative reviews than players from other regions? I think a lot of the times it's bad localization. Like, I feel like that's happened on a regular basis. Like, a game will get obliterated in the Chinese market, and it's because the localization is stinking terrible. So, I'm not sure if that's what's going on. Like, I think maybe is that what's going on? Like, I know AC Black Flag is kind of getting taken to the cleaners on Steam, which I think is so weird. Everybody seems to love it, but people, okay, it's got a 79%, so it seems to be recovering. It has like a mostly positive. If I go all languages, it drops to a 74. Yeah, I'm not quite sure. I mean, people were mad. I think people were mad about the microtransactions in Black Flag Resynced, but I was just kind of like, I don't know. Maybe they're just not familiar with the fact that a lot of games do that. Did you continue with Black Flag? I'm really gonna try to get the Doom the Dark Ages DLC beat is I don't want to just rush it, but I want to finish it, and then I really would like to roll credits on Black Flag because I really was liking it, and I saw a lot of comments from people that, like, you know, it's 25, maybe 30 hours. It's not a bunch of RPG bloat. You can just enjoy the game linearly. And I was like, man, you guys are making me really, really want to go in and finish this game. Because I remember loving it back in the day, but that feels like a lifetime ago. Excuse me. It feels like a lifetime ago. It really, really does. So... Black Flag looks too similar to Shadows. I need a 1-year break from AC games. Oh, it's not similar at all. Well, I mean, yeah, if you want to put space and you're going to enjoy it better than put space, but they're very, very different. Yeah. Playing Black Flag on PlayStation, it's really good. Yeah. I spent like 2 hours with it. I had a really, really good time with it. Yeah. I loved watching you play it. It looked so good. Yeah, it was a good time. It was a good time. We a lot of the times our gameplay will get picked up and do really, really well as a VOD, but unfortunately that one got stuck in processing, and so it sadly got kind of, YouTube's been weird with past broadcasts lately. It's been kind of funky. We figured out a workaround and a fix, but it's for whatever reason the gameplay that day did not take kindly. Black Flag drop while I was in the middle of Shadows. I switched over to Black Flag. Did I make the right choice? I mean, the right choice is whatever maximizes your enjoyment in the games that you're playing, because then you're getting the best return on your purchase. I mean, I thought Shadows was great until I was over it. Right? I liked Shadows until I couldn't take another minute of Shadows. It was like a tipping point hit, and I was like, I am so freaking done with this. Yeah. I don't know if you're going to have that feeling with Black Flag. Black Flag is a lot more condensed as a game. Shadows was enormous. I think Shadows was too big, personally. I think they really regressed back into bad habits with Shadows. I don't think Yasuke should have been in the game. Because he should have had his own game. He was a cool character and has a cool story, but he should have been his own game. Excuse me. I wonder how the player counts for Black Ops 1 and 2 compared to newer titles right now. I feel like Black Ops 1 and 2 will be like bottle rockets of attention. I think people will go back, have their nostalgia, and then they'll put it down. I don't think either Black Ops 1 or 2 will have any kind of enduring staying power with respect to engagement. I just don't think so. And I think that that's fine. I don't think that's a big deal. You know, if people have their fun and they enjoy it and they have a good time, you know, fundamentally that's kind of all that matters. So, you finished Shadows and you were disappointed? I didn't even get into all the extra stuff. Like, I finished, like, the main story, and I was like, I'm done. I can't go another step. Like, I couldn't take it. I did not like it enough to continue. I'll tell you what their biggest problem was. If they would have focused only on Naoe, all the attention they gave Yasuke to have, like a good combat system, if they would have focused their attention on making sure that Naoe had a deeper combat system, it would have been, I think, probably one of the best Assassin's Creeds ever made. But her combat system got so simplistic and so repetitive that, like, I think they wanted you to feel like, oh, I'm going to go play as Yasuke to get some of that combat vibe, but then he can't do any of the assassin stuff. So, like, I don't know. Like, I totally understand why they did what they did and why they structured it the way that they structured, but I think it just created an inherent dissonance and juxtaposition, like, within within the game. This segment is sponsored by watch a trailer with the sound on. Yeah, but we always get claims when we do that. I don't know. Dan, thank you so much. How long is the trailer for this thing? I need to get the trailer for this. Give me 1 second. Like, these sponsored segments are really cool that we get to do on Purple, but we'll get hit with, like, claims. So, you know what I'll probably do? I'll do this at the end, and I'll have people come over to Twitch from YouTube so that I don't actually do it on the YouTube channel. YouTube does not like people reacting to trailers. It's, like, super annoying. Dan with $10 super chat. Rolled credits on both Alan Wake 2 and Mixtape this past weekend. Halfway through the Doom DLC. After that, I think I'm starting The Last of Us 1 Remastered. 1 through 2 on the Pro will be my first playthrough. Oh man, you're in for a treat there. You're in for a treat there, dude. You really, really are. Did you like Valhalla? Valhalla was one that I enjoyed but didn't have time for. I felt that way about AC Odyssey, and I felt that way about Valhalla. I was like, man, these are good games that I literally don't have time for. Because they're just too dense. They're just too dense. It's like, I have time for, like, a normal meal, and you're trying to get me to commit to, like, a Thanksgiving dinner in the middle of the day. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, it's just, they were too dense. I wanted to play them. I wanted to get my worth out of them, but, like, Valhalla turns into, like, a single player live service game. It's like, to extract the actual value of what they built in Valhalla, you almost have to play it like a live service game. Like, you're putting in, like, over 100 hours easy. And I don't know if I would have enjoyed it long enough to do that. Does that make sense? Like, I feel like I would have gotten to the point where I would have been like, yeah, I'm done. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I don't know. I get to that point with most games. Like, I didn't get there with Returnal or Soros or Yote or Tsushima. Some games and I just get into a dance where, like, 30 hours in, I feel like I'm just getting started. Instead of other games, I get 30 hours in and I'm like, I've seen enough. You know, like, I've had my fill of this. Does that make sense? 975 hours. Yeah, Perfect Image has almost 1,000 hours in the game. Like, I'm never going to play a game that long unless I'm absolutely, even a game I absolutely loved like Returnal, I put 200 hours in. Like, I'm still not anywhere close. You can check out the Relic First Guardian. I think it's a Souls-like. If you aren't tired of those, it comes out in July. Souls-likes don't really get into rotation with me anymore. I'm just, me and Souls-likes don't really get along. I enjoyed first Berserker Kazan because I could lower the difficulty. And so I was able to play it like an action game that was like heavily reliant on parries, which I loved because I thought the combat system in first Berserker Kazan was really good. I went back to Liza P, lowered the difficulty, beat the swamp monster, and I went into the next area, and I was like, I just don't think I like these games. They do something to you that I feel it's so inhibiting. Like, people play them and they feel activated by, like, how oppressive the environments are, and there's poison on the ground, and there's traps and guys dropping from the ceiling, and mini bosses that have really annoying move sets. And they love that. They love it. Like, to them, it's this puzzle that they're going to master. It's this dance routine that they're going to master. And I just get annoyed. My temperament and my personality, I'm like, it was like in the beginning of Wu Chang Fallen Feathers when I said that, like, it was like the game made it unenjoyable to be in the game. It was like just being in the game. It's like poison, attacks, put poison on you, dot damage, like traps, you know, really annoying enemy from range shooting arrows at me that I can't get to. Like, I don't know. I feel like the game itself, they thrive on being oppressive, and some people love that. And I just end up feeling like you just keep poking me in the eye with sandpaper. I'm immediately annoyed. I'm not going to get into a groove with the game at all. So 80 hours into Yote. Yeah, I got 60 something hours out of Yote, I believe. The new Sekiro anime looks dope. It really, really does. It does. Could we get 10 more likes on the video, guys, over there on YouTube, man? Let's just get a couple more. Hit that like button. Make sure it saves your like as well. Make sure it saves your like. Appreciate so much. Did my part and hit like. Thank you. Yeah, and then we are going to do a sponsored segment thing on Twitch here in a teeny bit, but that'll be when we're done for the day. What about this Xbox lawsuit in Brazil over content removal? That was the sort of lawsuit we were talking about. I actually think that lawsuit is a really, really good case study into what we've been talking about. Yes. Like fighting for true digital ownership, fighting for true digital protection. Like it really, really could open some good doors for some good legislative conversations to be like, look at what these companies can and will do if they're left unchecked. Like, left unchecked, this guy would have been screwed and would have lost thousands of dollars of stuff that he was basically owed. You know what I mean? Why is it saying in the last? Oh, all that nonsense with the Ninja servers actually boosted our. That's so stupid. Anyways. It addresses the fear-mongering doom scenarios about them taking all your games for no reason. But does it, though, Hidden Siryu? Does it address that? If that homie didn't live in Brazil, he'd be screwed. If he lived in America, he'd be screwed. He'd be completely SOL. They'd be like, yeah, sorry, unless you want to spend tons of money. Yo, what's good, Chest Pain? Thank you for 37 months. We're at 60 on the week. If you guys want to end the day on pace We're going to need 40 more members or subs wherever you feel like supporting. That was over his account being banned. But it wasn't over his account being banned. His account was flagged because folks were trying to break into it. And even once he proved it was his account, they wouldn't give it back to him. And they wouldn't, like, restore it and restore his purchases. Like, he wasn't banned for breaking the rules. Like, that kind of thing is going to happen fairly regularly. Like, accounts are going to get flagged. Like, whether or not you make a password change, or you're in another region of the world, or maybe you make a weird, like, maybe you're using a credit card that you've never used before, or, you know, any of those things. Like, I don't know, man. Like, if he was in America, he'd be screwed. The fact that he was able to do something in small claims in Brazil and get representation, and it didn't really cost him anything, that's a significant aspect of the story that shouldn't be lost on us. The reporting I read said banned. I bet it did. I bet it did say that. Any American reporting on it is going to try to make it seem like, you know, he had it coming or he broke the rules or something, instead of being like, well, this is a very, you know, unique and strange circumstance. Maybe account protections is the proper fight. Digital game ownership is practically impossible for licensing and logistical reasons. Even if platforms wanted to offer ownership, they can't. Sure they can. Even if he broke the rules, it's iffy to me, because if you want to treat digital as physical, they needed to restrict your access the same. Allow you to have access to your purchases, but maybe ban you from buying more or accessing other aspects. It's like if you own a DVD, they can't just walk in and take your DVD because you got banned from the store. Right, or like seize your property because maybe they caught you pirating or something. I don't know. Christopher Nolan has announced that the Odyssey is dedicated to the memory of David Keeley, his friend and IMAX mentor. I saw that in the news that Nolan was dedicating something to a friend, and I wondered if it was going to be Keeley's dad. That's pretty cool that he was willing to do that. If you accept lack of ownership before even starting, they've already won. Well, we've accepted it, but we've accepted it. I think a lot of people have accepted it unwittingly, which is part of the problem. So, all right, boys, do me a quick favor. If you are watching on YouTube, we're going to end our day very, very briefly on Twitch. So there's a link in chat to come over and watch over there. I'm just going to do a very quick, like, 2-minute sponsored thing at the end. It's a trailer, and YouTube freaks out about movie trailers. So we're going to do it over there on Twitch. So please click the link in chat. Head over to Twitch. Watch for 1 or 2 minutes. That will help me out significantly. And then we're going to be in the Discord for the Green Room. So make sure you have an active membership. Make sure you guys are in the Discord. Make sure you're subbed or membered up so you can take part in those things. All right? So if you are watching on YouTube, there's a link in chat to my Twitch channel. Head on over, and then I'll see you guys in the Green Room. If I don't see you on Twitch or the Green Room, I'll see you guys tomorrow, okay? All right. Lono's back on Twitch? I've been back on Twitch for a while.